And a good morning to you all. You are welcome to the Koko Morning Show. I am your host, Yayura Awuno, and we're coming to you live from the studios of Clock TV. You can also catch us on GoTV channel 184. And if you're not in the comfort of your home and you have your cell phone with you, you can join us via our social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook. Just search for Clock TV. Now, the month of July is very significant to the Koko Morning Show, and I'm sure you're all aware that tomorrow is our 1-year anniversary, and I'm sure you're also anticipating a whole lot that will be going on here, as I am, my co-hosts are also. So yes, do stay tuned for tomorrow's Koko Morning Show. I'm just giving you a tidbit of what's going to happen. It's going to be very fun, entertaining. We're going to be reminiscing about a year and everything about the morning show, how it began and how it's going. So I would also like you all to send in your comments, all your very significant moments, your cherishable moments, the moments you love on the show. Would like to hear from you as well. But for now, I'm going to be telling you about today's conversations. And on the lifestyle segment, we're going to be talking about Ghanaian fashion in light of the Republic Day. And on the main discussion, we're going to be having a conversation with the ambulance service. They're having a 1-week celebration as well. So we'll be delving deeper into that. And sports and business will be bringing us news as always. So do stay tuned for that. For now, let's get our hearts prepared to be inspired. As the month is beginning today, of course, we will motivate you, give you something very inspiring to move forward in the month, to carry you throughout the month. And today's quote is by Toni Morrison, and she is an author and somebody who is actually very, very well known in the world of personal development and personal growth, mindfulness. And she says that if you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. Now, an expanded version of the quote says here that Toni Morrison's words are a powerful call to liberation, the internal and external, and the idea of flying here symbolizes becoming your true self, achieving your dreams, living freely, or finding peace. So if any of these rings a bell to you or you relate to any of these, you need to keep this in mind. And it says here, but to rise into that version of yourself, you must first identify and release the burdens that anchor you. These burdens are not always physical. They are often emotional and psychological. Deep-seated fears, past trauma, resentment, perfectionism, or the need for external approval or validation. Now, they could also be external, like toxic relationships, societal pressures, or even the roles and responsibilities that we've outgrown. Now, Toni Morrison is suggesting that personal transformation requires sacrifice. You can't take everything with you when you are trying to elevate. Just like a hot air balloon will not lift unless it drops the sandbags, or a bird would not fly with a broken wing or its wing tied down, we too must unburden ourselves to move forward. Now, this quote is reminding us to regularly examine what we are holding on to and ask whether these things serve our growth or sabotage it. Letting go is not always easy, but it is essential for flight. And I think this expansion is quite detailed, quite basic for all of us to understand that whatever next level you're trying to get to, you need to examine your life and look at what exactly is holding you back. It could be that job, that person, that partner, the family, that situation you're in, and you need to be able to try to let go. It could be even some habits like, perfectionism, lateness, or just not being able to respect others and things like that. Very, very basic traits within us that we know are not good, that we need to try sometimes to release and move forward in life. So with this quote, I hope that it motivates you and encourages you throughout the month of July. If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. So everything that's weighing you down, find the best ways and means to try to release them or let go. Next is our online print review, and we will be right back. Koko Digest Morning Show, and if you're just tuning in, we're about to have our online print review, and I'd like to remind you all to send in your comments to our WhatsApp number displayed onto your screens or to our Facebook or YouTube live streams, and I will do my best to read them out loud. For now, I have my two co-hosts here with me in the persons of Mr. Clement Yabankwe and Mr. Nanayao Asare. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Aya.
How are we doing?
Right, Grace, I'm fine.
So it's a new month, and what are our anticipations for this month?
I think
Well, yes. So July, the beginning of the second part of the year. So we are all in high spirits and feeling even better than what the first part of the year brought. And yeah, Koko Digest is also turning to tomorrow. So a lot of things in store for our viewers as well. We are not leaving them behind in the spirit of this new part of the second part of the year. So a lot of things. My message for this particular part of the year is to go for it. So anything, we are going for it.
Clemens, what about you? Are you also going for it?
So as Nada said, that we are in the 7th month, and we know the number 7.
Yeesh, take us there.
According to the book of Genesis chapter 1, it simply means the resting of the Lord, and also simply put to perfection and completion. Because the Bible said on the 7th day God rested. So I would like to encourage viewers that we find ourselves in the 7th month. It's a moment of rest. It's a moment of completion. Maybe January to June was not good for you, but have the hope that July, the number 7, that is the month of July, is going to be perfect and as complete and as whole as everybody is.
Okay, so speaking of rest, I would like to ask viewers, would you allow us to rest for the month of July? You know, we've been busy all year. Now the 7th month of the year has come. You know, some rest for us, or what do you think?
The rest I'm talking here is not about resting.
Oh.
Yes, it's different thing altogether. Yeah, that is resting in the goodness of the Lord, not basing on your ability, on your strength, thinking that you can do it yourself, but just resting on what the Lord has done. Because the Bible says on the cross, Jesus Christ said it is finished. So all the work is done. So we just have to rest and just
rest. Okay,
yes,
so no more agitations about the worries of life.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So I misinterpreted that. I was thinking of, you know, rest for your body and your mind.
I mean, it's not far-fetched. If you are tired, Charlie, rest. If you are tired, this particular year is actually gone on. I mean, formal work gives you some days for you to actually go on leave to rest. So if you've not gone from January to June, we're in the 7th month. I know maybe you're keeping it for December, but at least take a week off and then rest. Then use the rest later on in the year.
Right. So now let's go quickly into what's trending. It's a new month. What are the things that were trending? Old things are passed away.
Old things have passed away.
Let's touch on them a little, and the new things coming.
Era, indeed, old things have passed away. 1st July previously was Republic holiday, and over the years we realized as it was changed to the month of August. The president, in one of his campaign, made it clear to Ghanaians that it would be instituted on that 1st July again. And yes, true to his words, today is Republic Day and doubled as the national day of prayer and thanksgiving, which is going to be observed all over. Yes, so the Christians will be having theirs in the morning, and the Islamic will be having theirs in the afternoon. Yes, so and it's going to be also across the country as well. Right. So there's a new thing. I think 1st July is bringing up something new.
Talking about the
if not for something, we would have had the Thanksgiving, you know, National Cathedral.
Exactly.
We are having it at the forecourt of the State House today, and then when you look at the personalities gracing it, we have Cardinal Peter Turkson, who was widely thought to maybe succeed Pope Francis after he passed on, but unfortunately he wasn't the one that was chosen. So he is actually come. Yesterday he came out, he was well received, taken to his hotel room. So he'll be leading the Christian prayer. And then our esteemed Sheikh Sharubutu, that's the chief imam of the land. He will be also leading the Islamic prayers at 12 noon. And then the Christian one is starting at 8 a.m. So I'm sure right after we are done, we can actually go and join them at the forecourt of the State House.
So what about the traditional prayers?
the traditional authorities will also do theirs. I'm sure later on in the day they'll actually have their this thing to
All
to do that.
And here is when people would ask why this initiative. I think the president made it clear on the 25th of April when he was actually launching this that it's because Ghana, we stand at a place where we have unity of faith. The Christian and the Islamic community, we are all one.
Yeah.
So what should still put us together is to have this then being introduced. So the basic reason why of introducing this is to still believe and still strive on the basis that we have unity of faith in this country. That is
So,
basically.
with the, I just have this quick question. With these prayers and things going to happen, does that mean that we're not going to go to work? We're going to all just, what's the word, conglomerate there and pray? Or we can be in the comfort of our offices and then pray?
I mean, so you're not supposed to be there personally to pray. It's a national day of prayer, so you can actually pray wherever you are. So that's what I was about to touch on. That there are three central themes that the prayers will be centered around, and then one is supposed to be themes of peace. Another is supposed to be of economic recovery and national cohesion. So these are the three things that our prayer should be centered around. So today, wherever you find yourself, it's a national day of prayer. We are all coming together in unison to pray for peace, to pray for economic recovery and national cohesion. That's what we are all praying for today. And then the prayers are actually going to be led by the first gentleman of the land, that's His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He himself will be at the forefront of this particular praying exercise. So you don't necessarily, I mean, we all can't be contained at the forecourt of the State House. So what you can do is, wherever you find yourself, just make sure that you prepare yourself and then you say a word of prayer for Mother Ghana.
Okay, so here, you ask a question just to respond to that. You see, previously, Republic of 1st July is a holiday. We all have to stay home. But in Parliament passed the law, which has now, or what has brought to bear that if a holiday should be within Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are going to observe it on Friday. So instead of we having a holiday today, now we'll be having it on Friday. So everybody's expected to be at work.
Okay.
Yes, we're expected to be at work.
So, assuming I want to join them at the State House, by some through the prayers, I might meet my destiny helper there.
I think we'll get there.
How do I get there? Because maybe we are supposed to be at work today, but this is something that is happening, is a state affair. Are we going to be allowed, given permission? Okay, it's not like I'm trying to seek permission for those who want to run away and go and do other things, but people who genuinely want to be there, can they seek permission from their various institutions and join?
I think getting what Nana said, this is the first start of it. So let's observe it from wherever we are. Then we see moving forward how it's going to be open, if it's going to be open to all. But for now,
so
as
it's
Nana
not
said,
open to the public?
As Nana said, let's observe it.
Okay.
You can observe, follow it online, go to the social media platform, follow it. Yeah, so I think that should be what we should do.
So at the moment, we are not very sure if it's open to the general public.
Exactly.
Okay, that's clear now. So what else is trending?
So today is July 1st, and then as you earlier mentioned, in your first submission, you said all things have passed away. So has the old telco bundles. They've passed away, and then now it's the start of new bundles. So beginning today, there was a directive to increase the bundle by 10 to 15% by Honorable Samnati George, and then beginning today, that's when it's supposed to start. So the 92 gigabytes that you used to get from your 300 CD bundle or the 399 CDs bundle is now going to be increased to 195. So a lot, almost doubled. Some even more than twice their size. So we see that AT and Telecel have increased their data volumes by 10% across all bundles, while MTN has raised its allocations by 15%. That is AT's 400 CD package now offers 236 gigabytes, that's up from 195. Telecel has raised its 400 CD bundle to 250 gigabytes, a substantial increase from 90 gigabytes that it was offering before. MTN has reintroduced its 399 CDs package, which now offers 214 gigabytes compared to the previously 92.88 gigabytes. So when you look at all these, you realize that there's a lot of things going on. But one thing that other people are concerned about is the sustaining of its speed, the quality of the internet. So, because you can have a lot of data, but without speed, then it's as though you are riding a bicycle on a highway. You can't compete with the cars. So that's where we are at the moment, and we hope that studying it, because a lot of people have actually used it, and when you go on X, you realize that people are confirming and saying that, oh, it's good, but we want to see its continuity, we want to see its consistency. I don't mean to mention some telcos, but others
they know themselves, they are very guilty.
Others are complaining about their speed and all that. So I think a little bit of work should be done on it, and then we'll be fine.
Yes, because the fiber cable issue wasn't like a year ago.
Yeah.
Yes, and some networks still behave as though we were in that era where we had issues, and it is very bad. Please, as you've increased your bundles, please increase the quality of your internet services for us. Thank you. What else is trending?
Oh, yeah, yesterday was World Parliament Day. It's been celebrated across the world on 30th of June. Yesterday, Ghana Parliament did theirs, and the Speaker of Parliament himself was there, Majority Leader was there, and the theme was about gender equity, action by action. They were talking about the aspect of female representation in Parliament, and the Speaker of Parliament, Yaira, cited some very, very, very thing that I think Ghanaians need to know. He said there was a report released by the Interparliamentary Union as of 2025, which shows that over 30 years that Ghana, we started democracy, we have only made a margin of 6.6% in terms of women representation in Parliament since 1995. So he cited in 1995, the total women representation in Parliament was 8%. And as of 2025, the total women represented in Parliament is 14.6%. That is, we've made a margin of 6.6%. When you go to, according to this same report, statistics shows that Ghana was ranked 137 out of 166 countries, which were assessed in terms of women representation. So his concern is that women are not coming out to take up national issues, especially in parliamentary affairs. And he is saying that he's going to make sure that a lot of women involve themselves. And yesterday's program too, it was based on two key things. That is what we call the inauguration of the Open Parliament Steering Committee. It's all about, they want to make all parliamentary affairs open to the general public, being it committee sitting, being it parliamentary sitting, whatsoever, it will be streamed live on television. So that is what they are looking out for. So, and the Majority Leader also made a point that according to the laws of the country, every government institution is supposed to present a report annually to Parliament. But over the years, when such report is presented, they are unable to review it into details for Ghanaians to know whether this entity is performing well or that entity is not performing well. Because, yeah, right, if that's, I think if that law is there, then Parliament equally needs to be held accountable for the falling or the bad performance of some entities. Because if annually entities are supposed to present their reports to you, and you know how they are performing and action is not taken, it means that you are doing the overseeing responsibility, but on the other way around, something is happening. So the Majority Leader said, no, moving forward, they are not going to do that again. They are going to invite leadership of that entity. It will be streamed live on national television for Ghanaians to see what the leaders are doing in that very institution. So if they, assuming they bring institution A and they are performing bad, they will ask you why we are performing bad. If you can't explain, if they are supposed to sanction you or give you a query, they do that. Because they want to eradicate what we call corruption in our governance structure. Because he believes that corruption has made a lot of people not have trust in the nation again. So that is the main reason why yesterday's celebration of that is World Parliament Day actually was celebrated by Ghana Parliament.
Right.
Yes.
But then I don't think it should be limited to just the institutions. The parliamentarians themselves need to be held accountable. So just as it's streamed live, you come, your constituency, what improvements have you made or what deteriorations are we seeing? You speak to it, so whether you are justified in your position there or not, it should go to even the ministries as health ministry, blah, blah, blah. What exactly have you come to do in this period of time? How well have you performed?
Okay, so according to that report, it's not only government institutions,
Okay.
but ministries,
Even,
agencies, they are all
right.
part. Yeah, so all these people, they'll pass through that same channel. But over the years, we didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's in addition to what's trending as well, the health minister is set to address the parliament today on Ghana's COVID-19 surge. The earlier on, sometime 22nd June, that is last month, we had a communique from the University of Ghana on June 23, I should say, that there was a resurgence of COVID-19 on the University of Ghana campus. And then because of that, the Dean of Student Affairs has come out and then issued, that's Professor Rosina Tramantin, she's issued a statement saying that all student activities, including JCR, SRC weeks, GRASAG meetings and all that should be kept on hold until further notice. So it looks like student activities on campus have been put at a halt. But then the Honorable Minister for Health, Honorable Mental Kando, is supposed to address Parliament today on the status of updates from the number of cases recorded, the number of fatalities, if any, the number of recoveries, and what we are doing against that as well. So he's set to address Parliament today, and then we hope that he will bring us good news, because COVID-19, when you think about wearing nose masks and all these other things again, you realize that it's going to make our life very much uncomfortable once again. So we hope that there's good news in his address. So I'll be particularly following that and then making sure that we report everything as well, especially that we are coming tomorrow here again. But let me also finish with this particular one. When we were talking about gender equality, because that was what was discussed at Parliament yesterday. And Honorable Harun Idrisu, the Minister for Education, yesterday he went on some inspection at TVET.
Yes, we'll come to that in the online news. Okay. I didn't speak on the gender equity or equality in Parliament because I know when I start, we won't finish now.
Exactly.
Because our society plays a major role in women's involvement in a lot of things, because it's believed that a lot of things are for men, or a lot of positions and aspects of life are quite gendered, which should not be the case. And if I give these men a chance, we won't finish. So, yeah. So let's go quickly into our digitalized newspapers.
Okay, so I have the graphic business. And on the front page, it says, build capacity, not dependency. That is Professor Ali Nache Aegis Development Partners. And the big story there is funding gap hits agri sector. Funding gap hits agri sector. I think this story is basically on the point of the District Assembly Common Fund that has been released, which is 987.96 million Ghana cedis for the first quarter of 2025. They are saying that there was no direct link to the agri sector, which amount should be channeled to that particular sector. So moving forward, we'll follow this story and brief Ghanaians more on the aspect of our agri sector.
Right. Well, building capacity, I think with what our president is also trying to start, Feed Ghana project and feeding ourselves, quite similar to Echampo's regime. Yeah. Yes, these things could build capacity. We may know how to do the basics, but if some people are not educated properly on, from what I remember even in agric science back in school, soil acidity and all of that, and what plants thrive best in what seasons, these things could also help us. So I think, yes, this is actually something that our attention should be drawn to, that it's not just about growing the crops, but we need to know what we are doing, else we'll run at a loss. Sure. So Nanea, what do you have for us? I'm sure.
Well, I have the daily graphic,
okay.
And then on the front page we have Albert Jumfori elected as GJA president, and other 5 positions have new faces, and also it talks about the Ghana marking the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving today. And government has also released 139 million Ghana cedis for the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program, which is on page 20. The details on page 20. But what the main story that's making the headline is implement EVAT, IMF recommends. Amongst IMF's recommendations, they've also talked about the fact that they have to remove the COVID-19 levy, that is, and then implement an EVAT system and increasing the threshold to up to about 200,000 and expanding the EVAT, that's the VAT bracket, when they implement this particular EVAT. So I'm sure
the
business...
EVAT, is it different from e-levy?
Yes, it's different from e-levy. Value-added tax, you pay for it irrespectively. But EVAT is sort of maybe whenever there's additional process done on a particular produce, and value-added tax, you pay for it. Even if you buy something, although it's very, it seems intangible to say the least, but it generates a lot of revenue. One of the biggest revenue generators for government. Whatever you buy, there's a VAT on it. And this is a way that you are sort of trying to implement it electronically so that it will help governments to generate more revenue. So it's different from the e-levy.
Right.
And then in implementing this, they're also trying to say that they want to reduce they want to take away or scrap COVID-19 levy. Once they scrap the COVID-19 levy as part of the recommendations by IMF, then they implement the EVAT. It's going to significantly bring reduced prices of goods, because COVID-19 levy is 1%, was 1.5, now 1% across all board and all that. So when they reduce it, it's going to significantly affect businesses.
So I'm asking for our people, if the EVAT is implemented, what happens to the fuel levy?
No, I think you know, EVAT is basically electronic ways.
Yes, but here's
so
the case. The
so
layman is worried about so many taxes and levies.
It's basically about let's make our VAT regime electronically.
Okay.
That is the meaning of what you're trying to say.
So we are just changing. It's not a new.
It's not a new thing. Yes,
please.
I think even today, Nana, there is business news. We give viewers update on the new, not new, but expanded, modified taxation system that GRA is implementing today. It starts today. So we'll be giving viewers that update to us.
Because usually, looking at the population of people we have who may not necessarily understand these things into detail, we need to be able to clarify for them. Because I don't think a lot of media houses are doing that very well, where they explain into detail what these things mean. Like you just explained that the EVAT system is literally just a modification of what we already have. Somebody might think that it's a new...
No, it's
just
not
like
a new,
I asked,
it's not a new tax.
E-levy.
It's like enhancing the VAT collection.
You know, even by hearing EVAT, your heart will jump because of e-levy, you know.
So it's also called the electronic invoicing scheme. So it's like sort of expanding it to make sure that because when you look at our production tapestry, a lot of untapped areas when it comes to revenue mobilization and collection, when it comes to value-added tax. So this EVAT is sort of making sure that the areas that are untapped are going to be tapped. So it's sort of enhancing the VAT so that it can increase mobilization and collection. And in doing so, then they are going to remove a tax burden, which is COVID-19 levy.
Yeah.
It's like, let's say you have a net, when you cast it over here, or you have a net, when you cast it, you catch just the three of us. But beyond us are people working behind the scenes who also earn money and or maybe
so you need to cast it to them.
So you bring a wider net and you cast and you catch all of them, and then maybe you free up a lot of things and reduce the burden that you're putting on just taxing the three of us. So that's basically how it.
Okay, so I hope that we've got it clear. EVAT is not a new thing; it's just modification of the old. And we have a few comments here. So Ogatimi says, "Nice quote." Godfred Adam says, Honorable Sam George has done well with the increment in value of the data packages. The quality of service should be the next target. Yes, you have said it. Thank you so much for your comments. Please keep them coming as well. And so the online news, the very first story is what you were about to touch on. Education Minister raises concern over low female enrollment in TVET programs. And it says here, the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, has voiced concern over the consistently low participation of girls in technical and vocational education and training, TVET programs across Ghana, despite the country's increasing need for skilled labor. During a monitoring visit to the ongoing 2025 TVET examinations in Koforidua Eastern Region, the minister highlighted the gender disparity in the enrollment as a critical challenge. He warned that the imbalance could undermine national development goals and efforts to achieve gender equality in the workforce. This gender gap in TVET is a serious concern, and it has implications not only for economic growth but also for our broader commitment to equity and inclusion, he noted. I see. Before we start this conversation, please, we are working with time. It's not debate. We are not here to debate. Let's speak to the issues and be brief about it. So, yes, we are not getting as many girls enrolling in TVET. Okay. What are the underlying problems? What are the underlying causes?
I don't know if I should start or Clement. When it comes to these particular things, I usually don't like to use the word gender equality. Okay. I like to use the word gender equity, because if you say equality, that means you are giving me 10, you are also taking 10, right? But then when it comes to equity, you realize that instead of, you can give me 8 as a man and then give you 12, because you realize that you need more efforts for us to be a parity or at par. So that's what I would want to put down and say first. The problems when it comes to females engaging or being in technical and vocational things when it comes to TVET programs. Now, it stems from our cultural practices. Right from inception, right from beginning, what are females seen as? What's the cultural notion of how a female should behave? What is the cultural notion of what females can do and what should they not do? How does society see them, and how does society open its arms and welcome them? When you see a female trotro driver, I'm sure when you see it tomorrow, you still recognize it, that this is a female trotro driver. If you should see a male trotro driver, I'm sure when you see him again tomorrow doing something else, you didn't recognize that he was the same person. That's the kind of notion or mentality or picture that.
Considering we don't have that many female trotro drivers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of a cultural thing that if you want to actually break this and include them into more TVET programs, then right from the onset, it should start from introducing these activities and encouraging females to venture into them right from primary schools, right from before even tertiary, right from primary schools, lower primary. You look at the interest of certain females, you look at some of them and then realize that they're interested in doing this technical stuff, interested in doing this, and then I don't want a Bema. And then sometimes teachers themselves frown on them. So there's a lot of, how do you call it, education that needs to go into this, sort of change the cultural mindset or cultural shift or cultural approach when it comes to these things. That is, classifying some jobs just for men, classifying some jobs just for women.
With this classification too, it also stems from the fact that some of these jobs require more manpower or more energy, more effort. But when we look at the West, or where some of these things came from, they have actual equipment that they use in place of their own energy. Because you can even compare that here in Ghana, there are people still using hoes and, handmade tools to farm. When in the West, there are actual machines, like the one I remember is the combine harvester, which can actually harvest more in less time than you would by your hands. And when you go to the mechanics, when they're trying to remove the rim of a car tire from the tire, you can see the acrobatics and things they have to do to get it out. But a few videos I've seen where white people, I don't want to say white, the West, people in the West are also doing the same thing. There's a machine, and it just takes out the rim very easily. So these are some of the things we need to start looking at to incorporate these things into our own systems here, because when you see a lot of those videos, we see these DIYs and things, you can see girls painting, you can see a girl changing a car tire or doing some welding and things like that, because they've been taught. Some of the schools also have the bricklaying as a course that some of the students learn, and you realize that because they have the machinery, it does not matter whether, Clement, you are stronger than I am. We can both do the same thing. We can lay these bricks. Maybe we don't need to carry it like the way the masons do when they are on site, but there's some sort of equipment that gathers the cement or the mortar for you to just be able to lay the bricks very well. So one aspect we need to look at is employing technology into the TVET. What do you also think?
Yaira, I think you provided a solution. Yaira, Nana came out with a key concern or the reason why females are not really involved. And it's true. I cited what Nana said because of the cultural background of let's say, Ghanaians. Because when you see a young girl who is a mason, a lot of things will come to your mind. When you see a young girl who is a mechanic, you'll be like, hey, Aden. So that kind of perception is not making people who have interest in that area to even venture in the first place. Because of how people are going to talk. And we know this TVET is all about technical, vocational, and educational training. So I think, one, as Nana said, we should change how we think as a society, as a country. The education sector or the education ministry need to come out with, as you said, a very good working environment for these people that we have. And I think another thing is, in terms of infrastructure to these very schools, as they should include more of this technology thing in it, because some work, as you said, over the years, we know it's manpower. So men are supposed to carry the blocks, they are supposed to carry the concrete, they are supposed to do all these things. So I think they should make the environment very friendly where girls can equally do that. I have seen a lady who is a mechanic. I have seen ladies who are, what do you call? They call them steel benders. Yes, a lady who is a steel bender. So all these things would encourage them to do. If the environment is not friendly, Yara, it's going to be a problem. Let me just give just 5 things I think the Ministry of Education are supposed to. Yes. One is they're supposed to promote gender-sensitive policy and awareness campaign. The Ministry of Education is supposed to do that. They are supposed to provide financial incentives to some of these young girls who want to undertake such training, because we know in terms of this work, some of them, it requires a lot. It requires a lot. And improve school infrastructure to make it girl-friendly. Yes, some of the infrastructure is not friendly to a lady, so they should improve it. And encourage female mentorship and role models. The question is, how many...
Yeah, we don't have a lot of role models in that field.
So how would they even be encouraged to do that? And strengthen career guidance in school, especially at JHS level. So these are the few things I think the Ministry of Education need to take a critical look at. As Nana rightly said, the minister said out of 55,000 people who are sitting for this TVET examination, only 14,000 are females, which is not encouraging.
So I also want to talk about this when it comes to the TVET in itself. Now, over the years, we've also realized that the TVET as an institution or TVET has suffered from an image crisis. That is, it's been seen as the refuge for students that are not academically endowed. That is, the students that are, let's say, the remnants of the people that couldn't go to the university and then the technical universities and the likes. They are the ones that end up in the TVET. But these institutions are the ones that are supposed to sort of build hands-on people, people with hands-on experience and training and skills for vocational activities. And this is not particularly done. And according to the Ministry of Education website, it says that together with obsolete machinery, a fragmented TVET landscape, and outdated curriculum, these are some of the issues that TVET actually has. And a lack of standardization, duplication of rules amongst agencies, and poor investment. This is what has actually led. So what they sought to do was to introduce a national vocational training institute, that's NVTI, for them to be able to help in TVET training. And then also there was a bill passed by cabinet, or approval by cabinet, cabinet I should say, for a National Board of Professional and Technical Examination, just like the way we have BEC, NAPTEX is supposed to be established, and then the cabinet approved that. and then it's been established. But now standardizing it and making sure that it's the same on par, the same attention that's given to WASI, the same attention that's given to BC will be the same that's given to them so that they can function.
And I think, you know, just like the Global South tries to emulate things that the Global North does, we need to rebrand these jobs because, or these jobs that would be created in the end. Because when you go to the West, they are called blue-collar jobs. They are not, yes, the same at par with white-collar jobs, but the branding of the job still makes it attractive. Because now the artisans we have, you meet a painter, he comes to you, he's coming to do his work, and he's looking very shabby, very smelly, and or even the mechanics. No, I don't mean to insult anybody or anything of the sort, but this is what's on ground. They don't look like, you wouldn't want to be dressed that way. You want to be dressed in a nice suit and tie to be given respect. But what we are seeing these days, you meet the carpenters, you go near them and they reek of sweat and things. We get it that, yes, it's because of the job, but there should be some kind of brand added to it where it is like, okay, it is only when they are working that they look this way, but then there can be some sort of consultancy that, okay, before you even get to see them in that way, they look the part that, okay, this is an esteemed job. Because plumbers, carpenters, hairdressers, caterers, they are needed every day. Electricians, mechanics, they are all needed every day. And these are things that if we brand it very well and we give it the esteem and respect, you see that more people will be interested and then we'll have them. Because now, I mean, sometimes people make jokes that we don't have any electricians anymore. We don't have any mechanics anymore. Everybody wants to be in an office, which if we brand it properly, we will have more people interested. Where, fine, not to make it overly expensive like the way restaurants have become a very big burden on us, but to give it that esteem and respect that, okay, this is an artisan, but this is an educated person. This is somebody who is also well-versed in their craft and not just somebody that did the work just because he didn't get to go to school. So this is also another thing we need to look at for that. But quickly, let's go to the last story, then we wrap up. So this one says, Ghana to build 600 CHPS compounds by the end of 2025. And it says the government of Ghana has unveiled plans to construct approximately 600 community-based health planning services compounds across the country by the end of 2025. And the Minister of State in charge of Government Communications, Felix Ofosukwache, has announced the initiative, emphasizing that every district will be responsible for building 2 new CHPS compounds within this year alone. And it says here, each district has been mandated to construct 2 CHPS compounds. I want to call it chips. CHPS compounds in 2025, bringing the total number to around 600 by the year's end, he said. Now, the initiative forms part of the government's broader efforts to improve access to primary health care, especially in underserved and rural communities. So apparently this is different from the Agenda 111.
Yes.
And 600, is it feasible? Is it possible?
Well, first of all, if you take into consideration the number of districts in Ghana, and you see each and every one of them are building 2, then you are not going to have 600. You are going to have 572 because we have 261 districts in the country. So that's...
I thought we had 275 districts.
No, that's constituencies.
Yeah, constituencies.
Okay,
but when it comes to districts, we have 261. So probably maybe special allocation is going to be given to maybe some to do 3 or so, but that wasn't discussed or outrightly mentioned over here. So if you are talking about numbers and then going into detail, then we are going to say 2 for 1 will be 2 times 261. That's what we have to say. And then now we talked about continuity when it comes to government businesses. Now, when we are looking at continuity, and from the sense that this government comes, implements a strategy, and then a lot of investment, a lot of taxpayers' money goes into it, and then another government comes, they come to implement another strategy, and then realize that a lot of taxpayers' money also goes into it, and then we end up having a semi-completed project A, semi-completed project B.
No, it's uncompleted. It's not semi-completed. It's uncompleted.
I'm choosing my words carefully. That's right. So you realize that it's really in the best interest of the
Ghanaians.
motherland that a lot of these initiatives will be introduced without taking into consideration where the other ones actually reached. So my main understanding in this is that it's very good to now try to push healthcare closer to the communities. That is, setting up community compounds for health services and all that. But then what happens to the previous agenda by the government, Agenda 111, where we invested so much and we realized that there are some hospitals that were built without equipment or machinery in there for it to function. So it's like we're abandoning that and then going into another project. So
that's been the culture of various governments.
So, Yara, it's a good news. And this statement or this issue was actually raised, or it was brought to the Ghanaians on, I think, somewhere last month on the floor of Parliament, when the finance minister was presenting, it was answering questions to some specifics. So that's when he made it known to parliamentarians that the first quarter District Assembly Common Fund has been released, which amounts to over 948.96 million Ghana cedis. And he said that each out of that money, actually he brought out the percentage, what the money should be used for, of which I was trying to get it, and he made it a point blank that I think about 20% is to go into chip compound construction, about 20% is to go into education projects, that is constructing of basic schools, that's JHS building and stuff. And there was another allocation close to 10 to 15%, which would go into tackling uncompleted projects in each district. So actually there are demarcations, and the funding is going to be from the District Assembly Common Fund. I cite with Nana when he comes in with the aspect of Agenda 111, and the main motive of Agenda 111 was to provide secondary health care, and CHIP compound is to provide primary health care. When you listen to the minister in charge of government communication carefully, and also listen to the Minister for Health, he said that they are assessing the work of the Agenda 111. They are assessing it critically. And according to him, according to the Minister in charge of government communication, he said Agenda 111 was not specifically to all districts, but to some selected districts and some regional hospital renovation. But to this very initiative, it is to all districts, that each district at least constructs 2 chip compound. That is what we call the community-based health planning service. So at least each district gets 2 chip compound there. The reason is to help Ghanaians to get the first aid in terms of health delivery. So I would say it's a good thing if they are able to execute it by the end of 2025. And when I listened to him, he said he's making a projection that before they leave office, within 4 years, they'll be able to construct close to 6,000, I think, 2,000 rather, close to 2,000 chip compound, yes, across the country, which is a good one. But we would like them to give us updates on the Agenda 111 project, give us updates on the uncompleted example, the e-block that they started in the administration, of which a government scheme was not able to complete. They've come, and we are looking at this, free education policy. Where are the students going to be? So these are the issues that we also expect them to work on. It's a good news for people living in the villages who will travel miles to get health care. So it's like, I would say it's a good news. The only thing is it should be executed. That is one thing.
It should also not be primary. It should not. It should. I think it seems as though it is just a short-term solution to the pressing problem. So it should not remain there, but rather they should look to providing the secondary health care too.
So that's where I was coming. So the Agenda 111 sought to address primary and secondary health care. That's why they were decentralizing the health systems into the district level. That's why they were saying one district, one hospital. So maybe making sure that every district would have a hospital, but that didn't come to see the light of day. But then when you look at that particular way in addressing primary healthcare and then secondary healthcare, and then this particular one also coming to address just primary healthcare. Now you realize that I wasn't aware by the budgetary allocations that we were supposed to have used 10% or 15% to complete. Now every district has a lot of uncompleted projects.
Exactly.
Now how much of that particular is uncompleted project is going to go into the agenda 111 that's completing it, and then now we are saying that some an additional 20% is going to be used for the CHPS. No, how much of that particular one is going to? You see that in implementing it, there's going to be a clash. That you are supposed to build CHPS to cater for primary healthcare. Agenda 111 was supposed to cater for primary and secondary healthcare. So now you realize that which allocation am I going to use? Am I going to use that for maybe the completion of maybe a community library that's uncompleted? That's the 15%. Am I going to not complete that and then go and use that to complete Agenda 111 when there's 20% that could also be used, allocated some part of it to complete access to primary healthcare and secondary healthcare that is incomplete in Agenda 111? These are some of the questions that come to mind in its implementation.
So, answering that question, for the Agenda 111, according to the minister, said they should hold on.
Okay.
They would come out with their own assessment and recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But for the district, they should just tackle the present ones, uncompleted ones. It could be any sector, be it education or any other thing. Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you're supposed to talk about this, then we can go on and
Exactly,
on. But then,
exactly.
Because of
Time is not on our side. And I'm sure as this initiative has been announced, there will be more information and updates that will come up. So lastly, before I wrap up, we have a comment here. I think this is speaking to the women's representation in Parliament. So Justice Owusu says, Honorable Catherine Nafeku, incoming women's organizer, good move. There is hope to be led women's wings. Thank you for your comment. That was not very clear. Yes, this brings us to the end of the online and print review with my co-host as always, and I'd like to say a big thank you for joining us. Next is a lifestyle segment with Miriam Abnadidi and her guest. They're going to be discussing Ghanaian fashion in light of the Republic Day. Do stay tuned.
Hello, good morning to all of you viewers. My name is Benedict Nketia Kwating. It is yet another day, another week, another new month, July. Welcome to the month of July. And of course, we are bringing you the best, and it's from nowhere than Clock Sports. Here we bring you nothing but the best in the world of sports. And of course, we are covering all the angles, both local and international. My name is Benedict Nketia Kwating. Join me as we dive into the world of sports. Now to the headlines. President's Cup Showdown, Koko versus Hearts at Accra Sports Stadium on July 6th. Thomas Partey departs Arsenal after 5 seasons. Jake Paul beats Chavez Jr. by unanimous decision. Aston Villa closed in on a €55 million women's team deal to avoid PSR breach. Now to the main story. Football fans are gearing up for a historic clash as Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak prepare to face off in the 2025 President's Cup. The match, set for July 6, 2025 at the Accra Sports Stadium, marks the 10th anniversary of the annual event, which honors the President of the Republic. This year's event will be attended by President John Dramani Mahama. This event is organized by the Ghana League Clubs Association, GALCA, with support from the Ministry of Sport and Recreation. The President's Cup is more than just a game. It is a celebration of national unity and sporting excellence. Guinean midfielder Thomas Partey is set to leave Arsenal after his contract expired on June 30, 2025, concluding his 5-year contract. The 32-year-old is now a free agent with potential moves to clubs like Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, and teams in Saudi Arabia. Arsenal is set to replace him with Martin Zubimendi and Christian Nogard. Partey scored 9 goals in 167 matches for Arsenal. The experienced midfielder is also on the radar of Italian giant Juventus, while clubs in Saudi Arabia also circle around for his signature. Now to our international sports news. Jake Paul, the 28-year-old social media star turned boxer, secured a significant victory against former middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in a cruiserweight fight held in Anaheim, California. The judges unanimously scored the bout in Paul's favor with scores of 99-91, 97-93, and 98-92 across the 10 rounds. This win is a comeback for Paul following his previous match against Mike Tyson. Avoided breaching Premier League financial rules. The club is selling a stake in its women's team, potentially valuing the team at around €55 million. Villa also plans to reduce player costs by almost 20% over the next two summers. The sale of the women's team stake could be included in the 2024-2025 accounts. Selling a 10% stake to investors for about €5.5 would allow Villa to sell the remaining 90% to its parent company, V Sports, controlled by Nassif Sawiris and West Edens, generating approximately €55 million in PSR-compliant funds. And that is it for the sports segment. I have my colleague here, Nanayo Asari. Nanayo, how's the week been?
The week has been good, and talking about sports and talking about July, a new month, that means the transfer window is open, and I'm sure football enthusiasts, sports enthusiasts around the world are finding out and gearing up who are their clubs signing. And well, you must as well hide from wherever you are, because Chelsea are looking like they are signing almost everybody they see. Talking about Chelsea transfers, João Pedro is about completing his medical, that is today. To complete a signing to Chelsea, that is £55 million plus £5 million in add-ons. The Brighton striker will be moving from Brighton all the way to Chelsea, he's going to complete that particular move. And Chelsea, again, are in the market. They were sought to sign a winger, a right-footed left winger, and then they went to Borussia Dortmund and also sought to sign Jamie Bino-Gittens. I'm sure if you watch Borussia Dortmund, you may have seen him in Borussia Dortmund playing very well. Jamie Bino-Gittens is an academy product of Manchester City, and then he signed for Borussia Dortmund. He's been playing there very well for the past 2 seasons. And now Chelsea are set to complete his signature in this particular coming week. Also, McGahey, that is Crystal Palace centre-back and captain McGahey, is also on the radar of Liverpool. Liverpool are taking no chances. They want to actually sign him and make him come and complement Van Dijk and Konate. What a defense that would be. Van Dijk, Konate, McGahey. That is, Liverpool are also joining up and gearing up to signing him. And that means Crystal Palace are also on the market to sign another defender. Which defender are they going to sign? They sought and then looked around and said that Sporting, when you look at Sporting and you look at Ivorian defender that is playing for Sporting, he plays as a centre-back. I'm going to leave the name for you to guess. But Crystal Palace are about to make him the most expensive defender in their club's history. That is, Crystal Palace are going to make Osman Diamonde their biggest signing in Premier League history. The fee is thought to be around £40 million. That is around that particular region. When you convert that to euros, almost 50 million euros. And there'll be add-ons in addition to that. Diomande is also a very young centre-back. He's less than 23 years of age, and he will complement or fill in the gap that McGahey's departure is likely to bring about. And now let's turn our attention to our own Ghanaian superstar, Mohamed Kudus. He has a release clause of about £85 million. That is at West Ham. £85 million. That's Mohamed Kudus. That's what the amount of money that you need to pay to make sure that you secure his signature. And then when you look at that, which club is actually doing that? The current reigning Europa League champions, that is Tottenham Hotspur, are on the verge of signing Mohamed Kudus. They are actually in agreement, not in agreement, but they are seeking to find an agreement less than the release clause amount. They are optimistic that that deal could be struck, but that is West Ham United are also still sitting up and saying that you have to cough up the whole release clause if you want to sign our player. And the discussion is still ongoing and up and down. Benedict, do you know who else is attracting interest away from Liverpool?
I would like to speak about Nico Williams.
Nico Williams saga. Before we get that, because I know you have some Barca affiliations, but let me talk about Harvey Elliott a little bit. Harvey Elliott is attracting significant interest. Liverpool have put an asking price on his head to be £40 million. If you have £40 million, then come bring it, and then we'll sit at the table and discuss Harvey Elliott's departure. Another target that before we come to Nico Williams, this is also in relation to Nico Williams, Benedict. Another person that is touted to leave Crystal Palace is Eberechi Eze. Eberechi Eze is also touted to leave there for about £60 million. Arsenal are interested in him, but Arsenal want to pay in 3 tranches. They want to pay 20 million this year, 20 million next year, and 20 million the year after to make sure that 60 million, that is going to be a fixed fee, and they are going to pay £5 million in add-ons if they are going to structure that particular deal. But Arsenal are saying that, wait, we are not only interested in Eberechi, we are interested in Nico Williams as well, and because they are hearing that the deal is not so much completed with Nico Williams. But another player that Arsenal is actually interested to fill in that left wing spot is Rodrigo from Real Madrid. It's said that 85 million euros is going to be the asking price, or the price that you have to come and then talk about around that particular figure before you be able to get Rodrigo's signature right away from Real Madrid. But Arsenal are confident that when they put in a bid of around 70 million pounds, that is, they'll be able to secure his signature. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen in that particular deal. Now let's get into the business of Nico Williams. Nico Williams, yesterday there was an important meeting that was held by Barca representatives and the agents of Nico Williams. And then Atletico Bilbao. Atletico Bilbao are still saying that, yes, we've agreed a deal, we've agreed a structure, you are paying his release clause. But then it's now left to the players' camp. What are we going to discuss? What are we going to talk about? Now, the deal is almost as good as done, but there's still a but. Bayern Munich are in the peripherals.
Yeah, the windows.
Barcelona still owe players. Some players like Sergio Busquets, some players like Lionel Messi. They still owe them wages.
Yeah.
So they are saying that, what if I also come and then you've not cleared up my wage
Like that
structure
of
system?
Dani Olmo.
Yes.
The issue of
Dani
Dani
Olmo
Olmo.
also happened. He wasn't able to be registered some part of last season. They had to seek special dispensation to register him. So this is what Nico Williams is actually saying, that if he should come and then he's not being able to be registered, then what is going to happen to him?
What is going to happen? I mean, it's quite a hassle. I mean, being such a good player and that you're being tossed up and down. I mean, he wants to play for Barcelona. I mean, all indications show that the kid wants to join the best team in the world. I mean, he wants to shine out.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the best team in the world being Barcelona.
Let me land. Let me land. I have a very good justification because, I mean, teams like Arsenal wants the gentleman. Bayern Munich wants the gentleman. I'm sure if Real Madrid could even get a chance, they'll go in for the gentleman. But then you see, this kid is choosing to play for one particular team. And then with this particular team, he knows that the money he's going to be offered is way lesser than what he's going to earn in other teams. Yet he's still pushing for that. He's still pushing to play for that team. And you can tell, I mean, it wouldn't be out of just curiosity that he wants to play for Barcelona. He knows Barcelona is one of the best teams in the world. And if you're going to play for Barcelona, he's going to stand out. He's going to be one of the best guys to be out there. So I think we have to give him the chance. It's tough, but Nico Williams, he'll still make it. Get ready for, here we go. Fabrizio Romano is going to announce it soon because he's indeed coming to Barcelona. No matter what, come what may, Nico Williams is going to play for the best team in the world.
Well, Barcelona fans, I'm sure all around the world are also thinking the same way, that they want to actually get Nico Williams in their team. But let's take our attention away from Barca a little bit, and then their financial problems. It looks like a broke Manda is going to look for the finest lady in the room to woo.
Yeah.
That is another discussion.
Let's discuss the FIFA Club World Cup.
Before we get to that, let's round up on the transfers a little bit. Now, let's look at the likes of Thomas Partey. You know, Jose Mourinho, he has an affinity for Ghanaian players. When they started with Sule Muntari, started with Michael Essien, and they've all played under him. And now he's actually saying that Thomas Partey come and play for Galatasaray for at least a season or two. And he wants to come and play for Fenerbahce, for at least a year or two. He wants to sign Thomas Partey and then let him play under him. Galatasaray, their Turkish rivals, are also in competition to sign Thomas Partey and then also sign his rival, his Arsenal rival, that is Ilkay Gundogan. They're supposed to compete their particular signature. So it remains to be seen, where does Thomas Partey go? Thomas Partey also has links to Saudi Al Nassr, that's Cristiano Ronaldo's team. They want to sign him to be a linchpin in the middle of their pitch. Al Ittihad, where N'Golo Kante plays, and Karim Benzema, they also want to sign him. And the team that will come to that beat Man City yesterday, Al Hilal.
Shocking.
Al Hilal. They also want to sign Thomas Partey, so he's attracting vast interest across the Saudi region.
I mean, he's a very good player. Thomas Partey, regardless of him not scoring goals, is very good when it comes to holding balls, controlling the midfield, controlling the defense, even if he has to play as such, as a central defender. He's very good in every role you place him. So far as you are going to place Partey around the midfield, he's going to deliver. So I think him attracting some of the big teams, some of the most interesting teams, some of the best teams around the world is not far-fetched. Thomas Partey is a very good player. And I think Arsenal letting him go will come at a detriment to them. They will miss him. They will miss him, and then they wouldn't feel the impact now. As time goes on, they will know that, no, we shouldn't have let Thomas Partey go. But then it is what it is. He has to grow. He has to evolve. He has to move somewhere else. He has to function somewhere else and make other teams, other clubs proud. And I think Partey is making his nation proud as a Guinean. When you are discussing football with other nationals, and then you tend to mention players like Thomas Partey, Kudus. I mean, you can see the excitement, the pleasure they get in when you mention players as such. So Thomas Partey is doing so much good to our country, and then him going wherever he lands, wherever he finds himself, I think he's going to flourish. He's going to dominate as usual. Thomas Partey is going to be Thomas Partey. And I wish him all the best wherever he goes.
So, okay, let's turn attention to the Club World Cup, and then you touch on it a little bit before I continue with a myriad of transfer stories that I have for us.
Yeah, so with the Club World Cup, we are almost through to the quarterfinals, and then we have Palmeiras qualifying, Chelsea qualifying.
Can you round up the results, Palmeiras?
Okay, so Palmeiras played. No, let me just go straight to
the teams that have qualified.
Yeah, the teams that have qualified. We have Palmeiras qualifying, Chelsea qualifying. We have Al Hilal, one of the shockers last night. I mean, we saw the game. We've seen how Al Hilal has been playing, both in their club level and then coming to this tournament. They've been very dominating. But I guess a team like Manchester City, we weren't expecting such a result, but then it is what it is. And
well, to me, when you ask me whether that particular game came as a shock to me, I would say no, because I watched their first game when they played against Real Madrid. Real Madrid were lucky to escape with a draw. That was Xabi Alonso's first game as manager. Usually when a new coach comes, you realize that the team has new vim, new vigor to actually play. And then now, when you look at the game that Al Hilal played against them, Real Madrid with all their superstars and then their Kylian Mbappes, their Vinicius Juniors, their Rodrigos, their Brahim Diaz's, all of them, they were lucky to even get a goal against them. That goal was scored by Gonzalo, an academy product. So that should tell you how solid their defense is, and keeping away such oppressors, that is Real Madrid. They can actually oppress your goal if you allow them. So that wasn't a shock to me. I was actually expecting it. What I would have actually been shocked is if Al Hilal, that is, went out against Man City. That would have shocked me personally.
Wow. Okay, then let's move straight to PSG versus Inter Miami. It was heartbreaking as a Messi fan, seeing one of the best in the world of sports go through such humiliation. And I think this is not it isn't Messi's fault. I think the team Inter Miami is still mid, competing on the international field. They are still mid, because watching the game as a footballer myself, as football fans, as football lovers, watching how these players play, the kind of idea that is placed in front of them, and then still these boys are not able to catch up. It's sad, but it is what it is. I mean,
let me just break it down for you as a biased Inter Miami fan. Let me just pull it away from you. They were massacred. They were beaten. They were bamboozled.
I mean,
everything.
It's an understatement if you say
it was a mauling 4-0 against Inter Miami.
And this was just the first half. I believe something happened behind closed doors when they went for the break, the halftime break. Because if PSG wanted to continue playing the way they played in the first half, it would have been a murder. Inter Miami wouldn't.
Inter Miami were reduced to just one shot on target, and that shot on target came from Messi in the 23rd minute, and that was it for the whole game.
It was sad. It was heartbreaking. Watching at a point, I couldn't watch the game again. I just had to stop watching because I could see the quality, the difference in quality between PSG and Inter Miami.
I like it when football fans, that is, when we, as against supporters union, when we get you like this, when we put you in a position where you don't even want to talk about football. Let me just go on 2 transfer stories, because we've not talked about Manchester United. Manchester United are in for Oli Watkins. They've added him to their short list. Oli Watkins is 29, currently signed a new deal with Aston Villa, but just to protect his value, if he wants to leave, then he can actually leave. Oli Watkins nearly joined Arsenal in January, but he wasn't able to complete that particular one. So Oli Watkins is one to watch. And then also, Manchester United, they have an internal transfer deadline for Brian Mbeumo of Brentford. That is, they've set an internal transfer deadline that by this particular date, they will actually sign Brian Mbeumo. And if they are not able to sign him by this particular date, then I think they're not going to pursue him any further. So this is what I'm actually saying. If you want to know more, then join us on Clock Sports. We'll be coming up on Friday, bring you the best in the world of sports. Friday, 7 p.m., join us live, and then we'll be here in the studios to talk about the best in the world of sports. Benedict.
Of course, the best in the world of sports. This has been exciting with my co-host Nanayo Asari. My name is Benedict Nketia Kwatin, and this is the Clock Sports section, the Koko Digest Morning Show. Happy New Month. This is the best month you can ever experience, July. So I want to wish all July celebrants a happy birthday, and in advance, of course, and to myself and to my mom. As you can see, I mean, this is the best month once again. Thank you very much and for being with us. Next is the business segment with Clement Yabankwe.
Good morning, welcome to the Business Update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. Now on to our stories. The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has announced that starting July 1, 2025, several major tax policy changes will take effect to strengthen the government's domestic revenue efforts. This includes the modified taxation scheme, the introduction of VAT on real estate, and VAT on non-life insurance.
Modified taxation scheme streamlines system for the informal sector. The MTS offers a simplified tax framework aimed at micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises across the country. It aligns with the Income Tax Act 2015 Act 896. During a recent media briefing, Acting Commissioner General of the GRA, Anthony Kwesi Sapon, emphasized that this scheme is not a new tax, but rather an easier way for qualifying traders and entrepreneurs to compute their personal income tax.
Away from that, the Trade, Industry and Tourism Committee of Parliament has urged the Bank of Ghana to enhance its oversight of foreign exchange inflows and global trade development to help sustain the recent appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi.
From January to late May 2025, the cedi strengthened notably, moving from about 15 cedis to 10 cedis 20 pesos per US dollar. This recovery has been mainly linked to improved performance in traditional exports and a rise in remittance inflows. Committee Chairman Alexander Roosevelt emphasized the importance of ongoing vigilance by the central bank. He noted that, unlike the past when the US dollar was more readily accessible, contributing to dollarization of the economy, the cedi is now regaining strength. He added that the BOG must continue to monitor foreign currency flows and both international and domestic business trends to avoid renewed pressure from the US dollar. The committee's remark highlights broader concerns about the exchange rate volatility and its effect on inflation, trade, and economic planning.
Now, on a high cost of living among countries in Africa, Ghana has ranked 12 in Africa for the high cost of living among 23 countries, with a cost of living index score of 30.6, according to NAMBIO. The country has a rent index of 12.1,
and a grocery score of 33.3. Ethiopia leads the continent with a score of 43.2, followed by Botswana 39.5 and Mozambique 38.9.
The report highlights that rising costs in food, housing, transportation, and healthcare impact living standards and inflation. In May 2025, inflation fell to 18.4% from 21.2% in April, primarily due to reduced transport fares and lower food inflation. Food inflation decreased to 22.8%, while transport inflation saw a significant drop from 14.9% to 3.1%, marking a notable decline in costs.
Thank you for staying with us for the business update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. I want to wish you all happy new month and stay tuned for the lifestyle segment just after this break.
So welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. That was our very own legend, Stoneboy, with the iconic Jejureji. Stoneboy say, yeah, Jejureji. Whatever is happening to us today, yeah, Jejureji. This is the lifestyle segment. I am Miriam Abna Adede, and of course, I want to wish you all a happy Republic Day. I mean, today is a Republic Day, 1st July, and so we are super excited to be observing this day as Ghanaians. And we will be turning our minds to, a very important topic that has to do with fashion, how Ghanaian fashion has, evolved over the years. We are coming to talk about the language of Ghanaian fashion in just a few minutes, and we will be out of here. I have with me my co-host, Yaira Awuno Williams, and also Lysandra Nunu, who is the CEO of Lens Fashion. And so they are going to be giving us insights into today's conversation. Once again, I am Miriam Abena Adede. We are streaming live on Facebook and also YouTube as well. And so you can get interactive with us over there. And also via our text, our phone lines will all be displayed on your screen as you're seeing right now. So let's get straight into it. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
It was like a punchline.
Right.
I missed you during the newspaper review.
Yeah. I mean, you've abandoned us again. I'm sure we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm just speaking from my head. Like, because I'm reading.
Yeah. I can tell you're not too well.
Yeah. But yes, we have to be excited about today. So let me start off by asking you, like, how you feel about this whole Republic Day and the fact that our holidays, holidays that fall within working days have been shifted to the weekend. Let me start with you, Yaira.
Well, I am glad that the holidays have been shifted that way, because sometimes the holiday falls on a Wednesday. You come to work Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday you stay at home, then Thursday, Friday you have to come to work. But in a situation where it's either on a Friday or on a Monday, it extends your weekend. You get to rest properly and feel the holiday.
So this Friday is going to be a long weekend,
Yes.
right? Lulu, let me come to you.
All right, for me, I think the holidays being moved to a weekend is actually a good thing, because I can imagine a holiday being on Monday and you come to work on Tuesday, and I'm like, at least the holiday should be on a Friday. Then you're spending Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You come fresh and energetic on Monday.
Yeah.
So
well, for me, I like Monday to be added to the holidays, so that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Hey.
I hate Mondays. Like, I
for
hate
enjoyment.
But yeah, we can't also get into our conversation without talking about the most anticipated 1 year of Koko Digest. It's been one long, stressful, roller coaster, amazing, like painful year of being on the screens of Clock TV, hosting, our morning show. Yaira, you are the host for Koko Digest.
You're also a host?
Main host. How has it been for you?
I'll say a little today, then tomorrow we'll have a lengthier conversation about it. It's been a bit of everything. It's been fun, it's been stressful, it's been educative, informative, and entertaining. Yes, we have learned a lot. The journey has been, it's not been a smooth one. No journey ever is smooth, but I mean, we are glad we started, and wherever we are, we will look back and take from what we've been through to move forward and improve upon ourselves.
I can see that. Lysandra, you joined us along the line, right?
Yes.
You weren't here when we started, but you joined us along the line. Share your experience with us.
Well, so far, I have enjoyed Clock TV, and even though we are not there, but there's so much great improvement, and I can tell that the technical teams are A plus or A1. They are doing so well, and the whole set, the whole teamwork is very key, and I've noticed that it's one of the key things that happens here, and it's what's pushing the whole company forward. And so far, I've enjoyed the place. Yeah, I've enjoyed.
Well, for me, I can't wait to share my experience tomorrow, because I have a lot to talk about. I mean, a lot.
Please don't come and cry on set.
I'll cry. Our viewers should get tissues, because when I'm crying, you have to cry with me, because this journey hasn't been easy. As you can see, today I feel very indisposed, but I have to come to work because I love you.
Of your commitment, dedication.
We have to add some vibes to it. But let's move straight into our conversation. We don't have time. We are talking about fashion, right? Today is Republic Day, a day that reflects Ghana's self-governance and also our pride as a country. We are a republic. But we can't leave out fashion when we are talking about, our development, our progress as a country. Let me start with you, Fashion Nova. How would you say Ghanaian fashion has evolved over the years for you?
Well, I think we seem to have incorporated more of the Western clothing, mainly because it's seemingly cheaper, the incidence of falls and whatnot. And we have, on one hand, relegated our African clothing to the back, and then on the other hand, we've also given it some of these fabrics some sort of respect and esteem. Like you can't have anyone just wearing kente on a normal day. even though we have the wax print, kente, and the rest, the imitations as they call it, you see that someone wearing the smock, it represents something. So we've evolved on one hand, and then we have sort of moved back, because rather than incorporating these into it, why not go for like what you're wearing actually? Why not
proudly Ghanaian
wear more of a wax prints, or what's the, some people call it Ankara, we call it Intuma or something, or the African print as they call it. Why not wear that more? And so I think we've gone one step forward, one step back. So maybe we're on ground zero.
I'll come back to the issue of kente. But Lucinda, how would you also say Ghanaian fashion has evolved over the years?
Well, the traditional clothing are much expensive. So let's assume there's no Western clothing, and we are to wear this traditional clothing. Do you think someone will have to go and buy if it's kente or if it's some particular smoke or another, the person will have to buy every time? Right now that things are expensive. It's going to be much more challenging for them to afford it. So it's very good that they introduced the Western clothing. At least when you go to Makola, you can get 2 cedis, 5 cedis clothing and wear them. And they are easy to wear, and they are easy to move about in, as compared to wearing a kente or a smock. It's like you are limited to certain things. It's either you have to take off your dress and do whatever that you have to do, or you have to. So I think the evolvement is a good thing.
Sandra, based on the movies we've watched about the pre-colonial times, I don't think everybody was wearing that. The ladies had that small,
like a
and then and then the guys just had some, I don't know, makeshift shorts that they were wearing. So it may not have hindered us so much. Maybe our bodies would have been more exposed, but not everybody was wearing, because those were for ceremonial days and purposes.
But these days, for weddings and even naming ceremonies, we see a lot of people wearing kente. You don't even recognize the bride, because bridesmaids, everyone is in kente. Do you think the kind of respect or regard we have for such clothes or clothes still exists in our time today?
Well, yes. It is. Kente is symbolic.
Okay. So
if in a wedding setting they want to wear kente for the bride and her bridesmaids, and sometimes the groom wear the same kente and all that, I think it's okay. Yes, and it symbolizes like strength and those kind of things. So I think it's...
Well, for me, I have said that for my
your much anticipated wedding.
Any event of that case, if I'm going to be in kente, then everyone shouldn't be in kente, because I want to stand out.
Shine. Yes, we understand.
But Sandra spoke about symbols and other things. Do you know any symbols that represent clothes and other things?
So I think the main ones that are used often, I have a few here. We have the jinyame, except God. And then we have a ban, which is security and safety. And it usually also appears in kente. We have the diafin, which represents cleanliness, feminine virtues, love, and then nurturing. Then we have ebane odo, that is love and safety in the home. Then we have fanhudie, which is freedom and emancipation. So I think these are just a few that tend to be recurrent in our fabrics to symbolize, based on who is wearing it. That is, if you know what it means, because when you see the diafin, it's even used to make earrings. When you see the diafin on a young lady, you know she's trying to represent beauty and feminine energies. Yes.
But how many people understand these symbols? Like when I see someone wearing a cloth, I can't really tell. Like I don't even know the name of that was what happened to Regina Daniels when she came to Ghana, and then she was wearing a cloth that had a different meaning from the events she was involved.
I think it was termed as a funeral cloth here, but maybe in Nigeria it is not a funeral cloth. So that is where some distinctions in our cultures comes in. You remember during the COVID when our former president usually came to give his addresses, there were some people that were doing expositions on the shirt he was wearing and trying to explain the fabrics. I think a few, not from our president though, but a few fabrics I know. I think my grandmother's cloth that we used when we were burying her was Obatampa Nimni and Mabedi. And it is basically to say that a mother knows what her children would eat or would need. So this is to signify our love for our grandmother, what our grandmother has been to us. So I think when you go out to buy these things, these fabric sellers, you can ask them. I think even at the edge of the fabric, you can find the inscriptions there.
So when you mentioned COVID, something came in mind. You fellow Ghanaians. So there was a cloth like that.
Yeah.
I had this friend who went out to get a fellow Ghanaian cloth, and then she came back home with it, and I was surprised. Like, how do we name these clothes, like, from events or happenings?
Well, so something like Fatia Fatankruma, which is a kente cloth, I think in the time of Nkrumah becoming president and his wife being an Egyptian woman, or is it Ethiopian? Yes, Egyptian, and us loving them, the beauty of the lady and everything, people were doing a lot of things to sort of commemorate our president at the time or show some love for him. So they made the cloth and then named it Fatia Fatankruma. And it says here that it celebrates love, unity, and partnership. So there are different reasons people name some of the clothes.
So for those that are looking, forward to getting married, you can get Fatia Fatankroma.
Yes, that's good. Yes, you Ufata Okuno, Ufata,
What if your husband is?
Hey, young lady, please, let's calm down.
Anyways, Lysandra, let me come to you. We'll be wrapping up shortly, but how do you think we can incorporate, our traditional wares into our modern, setting?
Well, when we look at the Dinkra symbols, they are more traditional, and we have this modern kind of clothing that we wear with floral designs. Yeah. Some have patterns, some have geometrical styles, and all that. So I think we can look at some of these Dinkra symbols, try to modernize it a bit in terms of the design, and then incorporate an African print or normal attires. Yeah, I think it will be very nice if we do that.
Yeah, at least we see that on t-shirts, actually.
Yes, at least it wouldn't look like we are neglecting our culture, but rather embracing it by in a new light. Yeah.
Okay, and we are also in a setting where people are moved by what they see, especially from influential people, celebrities, and other things. What do you also think, as a TV personality, that you think your colleagues and yourself can do to, make our traditional clothes or dresses or attires very attractive?
Well, it comes with the kind of fabric, first and foremost, because I think now there's also the incidence of some countries imitating what we have and selling them for cheaper. So if we are able to patronize the good quality ones, and then incorporate very beautiful and decent styles that reflect our rich culture, it would go a long way.
So will you choose African prints over official?
Well, there's time for everything, right? And we're in a setting where there is time for the African print and there's time for the official. So when it's time for the African print, of course, I will incorporate the African
print. What do you mean by when it's time? Are you only going to wear African prints on Ghana Mat?
I usually wear African print on sets too.
I know, that was just by the way. But I can't have you girls here without saying something small about your businesses. We are for the empowering of women. So let me start with you, Lysandra. Do you have any business you're running?
Yes, so I run a design and print firm. And
what's the name?
It's called Lois Creatives. And I have a fashion firm as well. Well, for us, we do the design and give it to people to do the print.
So would you like to share your handles or your phone number?
Well, I'll share my phone number. So anyone interested can contact. So it's 0533 656243. 0533 656243.
It's a business number, please. Disclaimer. So
yeah, so I have a beads business where I make bracelets and waist beads, anklets, even necklaces sometimes. And it's mostly made with the traditional African beads that we have here. So it's very colorful and very nice to pair with anything you're wearing. It could be formal, it could be African print, as Miriam is wearing a tie-dye, yes.
Tie-dye.
Anything, it goes very well with it. So you can find me on social media, Ejiani Beads, or via 050-000-1545.
Right. And I am also a makeup artist, a beautician, a hairdresser, everything.
Okay.
And yeah, everything you can think of, I do it. So yes, my name is also Miriam Abuna Adede. You can follow me on my socials as displayed on your screen. And thank you so much for joining us for our lifestyle segment. It has been an interesting segment here with my colleagues. I did this with Yaira Alvina Williams and also Lysandra Nunu. Up next is our main discussion. Okay, so we have some birthdays to do. Sorry. So let's take our birthday break and then we'll be back.
I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday.
Right, so we have one birthday to display, and I think one of you should do that with me, right?
So Lysandra will take it.
Okay, so Lysandra.
Okay, so we have from your only daughter, Tichiwa. It says, happy resplendent birthday to my super dad. I am very appreciative of your relentless love. May the good Lord bless you with long life and good health. Happy birthday, Dad. I love you to the moon and back. From Kwesi Johnson.
Okay, thank you so much for bringing in your birthday wish. We also have this happy birthday to the one who makes my heart skip a beat and brings sunshine into my world. You are not just my fiance, but my best friend and the love of my life. Today, as we celebrate a special day, I want you to know how much you mean to me. May this birthday be the beginning of an extraordinary year. I love you more than words can express. Happy birthday from your sweetheart, Nathaniel Babington. Okay, the love messages you guys have been sending. And I also want to wish Edith Yuri, Edith Kanyuri, a happy birthday. You celebrated your birthday yesterday. A belated happy birthday to you. God richly bless you. Okay, so Lysandra has also one.
So I want to wish one of my designers. Okay. He's called Daniel Damilola. He's a Nigerian. He's a fashion designer, and I want to wish you a happy birthday, and may God bless you and increase you. May He take you higher. May your business flourish, and may you be the greatest amongst your family. Amen.
Amen. We also have this to Abraham, and it says, happy birthday to my amazing little brother. May your day be filled with joy, laughter, and everything that makes you happy. I'm so proud of the person you are becoming, and I'm grateful to have you as my brother. Here's to another year of adventures together from your big brother, Marcelo. Hey, thank you so much for bringing in your message. We also have this again. So the person says I should read it again. So a happy, resplendent birthday to my super dad. I am very appreciative of your relentless love. May the good Lord bless you with long life and good health. Happy birthday, Dad. I love you to the moon and back. This is to P. Kwesi Johnson, your only daughter, Tichiwa. Thank you so much for bringing in your message. That's all we have for you here on the birthday segment. Up next is the main discussion.
You're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. And if you're just tuning in, this is the main segment, and we are going to be talking about the principal medical emergency technicians here and paramedics. And we're going to be doing this with one of the officials from the Ghana Ambulance Service, and she is in the person of AEMT Fatilale, and she's here in the studio with us. And yes, I think last Thursday, I didn't have enough time to inform us about the Ghana Ambulance Week celebration, and yes, EMT and Paramedic Week celebration. And so I will quickly go through the activities, and then we have our AEMT here who will, talk to us about it. So the week celebration is starting today, and which is Tuesday, the 1st of July. So the activity for the day is the official launch and media engagement. And the details are the press briefing and media launch at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And this is going to be happening at the National Ambulance Headquarters. And then tomorrow we have the health screening and community outreach, which is, the details are just basically free health screening. And this is going to be happening in markets, church stations, schools, and other areas. Then on Thursday, we have the BLS for the public and youth engagement, which BLS is basically basic life support training workshops. So that's what they're going to be doing, and this is going to be school visits. Then on Friday, we have the interstation quiz and EMS fun fair. I think I would like to go for that one. Then the details are the National Ambulance Service Interstation Quiz Competition, and this is going to be happening at the Regional Secretariat or at CLOGSAG. Then on Saturday, they're going to be having the Health and Endurance Walk, and it's going to be happening at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. Then on Sunday, basic life support training, which is going to be happening at targeted churches. So hopefully if your church is selected, you can join and learn one or two things. Then on Monday, that's next week, the 7th of July, they're going to be having scientific sessions, and it's going to be online presentations of abstracts by EMTs and paramedics, and it's going to be happening online. So I'm sure maybe a Zoom or Google Meet link will be shared across board, or maybe to stream live on the social media platforms. Then on Tuesday, that's the final day, the 8th of July, we have a Grand Durbar, and this is a National Durbar and Climax ceremony, which is going to be happening at AMA. So if you're very interested in the Ghana Ambulance Service, this is your chance to join any of these or all of these activities so that you can learn something and then network with these people and learn so that you can get acquainted with them to learn more from them. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us. Always having time for us.
Right. I remember you saved Baby James and Frimpong the last time you were here. They are most grateful. I'm speaking on their behalf. So I think today we're going to be talking about, yes, the emergency medical technicians and paramedics. So today might be more personal, trying to learn about your experiences as an AEMT. So I want you to explain what an AEMT is for our viewers. I already know, but...
All right, so good morning to our viewers, CLOG viewers.
Yes.
And then good morning to you once again. Your question came, who is an AEMT?
So what and who?
Yes, let me start from somewhere I call the beginning.
Okay.
I'll make a picture clearer for everyone to understand.
Sure.
All right, so we have in our scope of practice in EMS worldwide, we have EMTs.
Okay.
We have advanced EMTs, and then we have paramedics.
Okay.
In that order.
Okay.
But everyone starts at the EMT level.
Okay.
Even if you are studying as a paramedic, you have to start studying from the basics, from EMT through to become a paramedic. So an EMT is the first or the beginning. Let's say we are starting school.
Yeah.
We are going to preschool. Preschool is EMT. Then let's say primary in Ghana in our setting here is advanced, and then, or let's say preschool and primary is EMT. Then second cycle is advanced. Then let's say the tertiary is the paramedic.
Okay.
So it varies based on the hours of study. Let's say when you're looking at credit hours used in a particular course, the EMT uses about 60 to 80 hours. Then the advanced will use about 120. Okay. Let's say 160 or 180 hours, while the paramedics uses about 1,200. Yes, plus. Okay. So you see yes. And then we all study basically from anatomy, human body, physiology, we come to do clinical. So you start from the basic, but whilst you are advancing, then you are doing it in the advanced. Okay. So the basic EMT or the EMT, as we call it here, we add basic to it so that we separate it from the advanced. So you will start studying to be able to basically save somebody's life, basic life support. So you intervene with techniques. Mostly it's not invasive. Most of our basic interventions are stabilizing the patient, giving the patient oxygen, and being able to make sure the person you are able to maintain the person at that particular time. If it goes beyond it, and then we need to go invasive, then the advance will come in at a point. And the advance will also end at a certain point, and then the paramedic will come in. So let's say medications. If the advance is supposed to give a particular medication, maybe 1, 2, 3, adrenaline, I'll give this, but at a point I can't give other medication unless the advance comes in, because they have studied more. Okay. So the advanced EMT and the paramedic, they study more about the rhythms of the heart, to be able to read ECGs. And then you are also able to give even critical care. Okay. That makes you different from the basic. Okay. You understand? So now the advance is between the paramedic and then the basic EMT. Yeah. So when there's an issue and we are all here, we have basic, we have advanced, we have paramedic, they'll call in the basic first, the EMT. And the EMT will go in. If it is beyond them, then the advance will come in. Okay. If it's beyond the advance, then the paramedic will come in based on our resources. Because we don't have so much resources to send the paramedic straight, even though when he gets there, he'll start from the basic. Yeah. But we will go with the EMT because in case the paramedic is needed at a higher place, the EMT may be able to save that situation that he or she has been called. Right.
So the EMT is the emergency medical technician. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And the advanced is advanced emergency medical technician.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to saving lives, have you ever been in a situation where your efforts has saved a life directly?
Yes.
Right. So can you tell us about it?
Oh, there are a lot of them. There's a baby, like you mentioned,
baby James.
Baby James. There was a baby at the clinic that was born. Mostly when the baby, how do I say it, aspirates or drinks some of the fluids in the mother's womb. We call it meconium staining. Okay. So at that point, the baby begins to becomes acidic, like severe birth asphyxia. Okay. I'm using some medical terms. I want to breathe. Okay. So the baby can't breathe properly. Yeah. Good. So if the baby can't breathe properly, what do? We have to be able to manage the baby at that time, to be able to maintain the airway, to be able to make sure oxygen goes into the lungs for the patient to be able to exchange gas properly before we send the baby to the NICU. Some of them are born either prematurely, some are born term, but because of the aspiration of the meconium, they are in crisis, so we have to. Right, so there was a baby like that we were called into. When we went in at the hospital, though, they were working on the baby and realized they needed an extra hand. Okay. So we helped with the baby being able, making sure the baby is getting enough oxygen, opening the airway, bagging. Bagging means we are breathing for the patient with a device. Yeah. Yes. To be able,
is it like the one we
use the other time? So we did that for the baby to be able to breathe So whilst we were doing it, at a point, we realized the baby was going off. So I think there was, whenever there's a blockage in the airway or something obstructs air for oxygen from going into the lungs, the person is not able to breathe properly. The person's, how do I say it, SpO2, let's say oxygen in the blood begins to go down.
Okay.
So at that point, we had to intervene. There was suctioning there and other things. And then whilst we were still doing, you don't know what happens. Human physiology, the baby was going off. So we had to do chest compressions for the baby. So I was doing chest compressions, and one of my senior colleagues was bagging the patient at the same time. We rushed, they were not having oxygen at that time, they were also short, so we rushed the baby into the ambulance, tried to stabilize a little. We didn't give up. At a point, if you want to give up, if you look at the baby, you give up. But we decided that this baby, because of how we started, we know she hadn't gone far, and still, so we worked on the baby, and then we realized she was coming back bit by bit. Then together with some advice, we moved the baby to the health facility, and from there they were able to help revive the patient with. See, they go further than us, yes, but we do pre-hospital care to take care of the patient there. We do what we can to sustain the patient to be able to send. So that's what one of the recent cases. That's why I'm mentioning that there are lots. There was another, a guy lost. I was in an accident. He got stuck in the car, and then his leg, you could see this part of his leg was chopped off. Yes, so we had to, how do you see this person bleeding, not only there, the head, the person is crying out, and you have to comfort the person at the same time and also be able to withstand what you are seeing and also be able to give intervention, control bleeding, make sure you use splints for the patient to be stabilized, give oxygen, and then you send the patient to a health facility. At that point, when you are done with it and you hand over and the patient is breathing and is able to talk, you know you have done really a lot.
Wow, yeah. You are doing amazing in your field. You're saving lives. So it's not just the medical professionals that are saving lives. It seems the emergency services too. Wow. So have there been any life-threatening emergencies you've ever faced?
As in,
as
I
EMT?
am faced with a life.
Yeah, in your scope of work.
As in saving someone's life, then I am rather in danger.
Yes.
Oh, it has happened. It does happen, but let's say personally, I would say I have not experienced something like that.
Okay.
But because of the nature of our work and how we communicate, we have seen other people around us face such dangers. Especially some of our people, when we're working in the night. There are times that we always say, this one, God will go with us. I remember there was a time we were called for a night case. We went for 12 midnight. Where we were, we didn't know. And the person also didn't know where he was. We had to call. The person was in a dark place, and then lo and behold, it was not a scam or someone who wanted to hurt us. We found the person in a very obscure place, but we had to bring the person out, and then we saved the person's life. But some of our people, during some of these night cases, are faced with dangers. Sometimes armed robbers do attack us on the way. Sometimes it's other vehicles that are not driving well that will cause our cars to be involved in an accident. So personally, I've not faced a physical one-on-one, but I know few, even one of our EMTs died, not in the line of duty because he was shot by armed robbers. Yes. And the lady went through psychological, mental challenges because of how the case was, because she was also there, and then how the armed robbers came on them and other things. So we do face. It's just that it doesn't come out for everybody to know or see, but we do face it, but internally they find a way to solve it out.
Okay.
Us.
Right. So then how do you also manage the pressure of making split-second decisions. Like in the case of the baby, it's like, this one, let's give up. Someone's saying, let's not give up. How do you manage that?
That's why we work in a team. So you can't work alone as an EMT or a paramedic. We work. You are not sent on a case unless you meet it and then you call for help. Whenever we go in twos or threes. Then one may be the leader, but as you are doing it, you may have forgotten something or might have escaped you, then the other will chip in. Or whilst you are doing it, someone will say, why don't we do it this way? So together we make the decisions, and then based on our training too, we've been trained to take some decisions based on certain protocols that we follow. NAS, we have something we call NAS SOP, Standard of Operation. So if you meet an EMT somewhere in the same, and then the person is, let's say, in Nungwa and I am in Accra Central, when we meet the same case, we should be able to manage the patient with the same procedure. It shouldn't be different. Even if the person starts from somewhere, we all end there.
At the same place, So what about situations where you are trying to save a life, but from the looks of it, one person says, I will not give up, but then the other says, no, this one is already gone. How then do you strike a balance and decide what to do there?
All right, so at that point also, as your question, and when it comes, I add some of the things that we have something we call medical direction. We have online medical direction and offline medical. So when it is offline, it means they have been written down for us to follow. But online is when we call a senior colleague or a paramedic or a doctor who is a medical director to us. Or even if it is not a domestic case or an RTA and we pick the patient from a facility, then we have to call the facility we picked on, the medical doctor that has referred the case. For that doctor to tell us, at this point, this is what we've done so far, then it doesn't mean that we just call when we are at the point where the thing is ending. But we work with them as we are going through. So we do our part as EMTs. When you get to a point where you have to do something out of your EMT, you call them. Then they will tell you to do this or that. Then maybe we've done CPR 2 hours, 3 hours. They are there with us, even though they are not physically there. They know what we have done. So when they are saying, oh, at this point, doc, what do you see? Then say, Then it means they will advise us to go to where we are. If we are far from, we go to the nearest medical facility. Together with the medical doctor that is present at that place. Then we declare the case. Yes. So we can't immediately sit there and say, we are not working on this because...
Right. So I know the last time you came, you took us through certain steps that you take to stabilize a patient at the scene. But for the sake of our viewers who probably didn't get to see that, you can look for that on our social media and, learn. That's a hands-on experience. But briefly, what are some of the quick steps you take to stabilize a patient when you arrive at the scene?
All right. So arrival at the scene, like I said or mentioned the other time, you have to also look for your safety. You, the EMT, your safety. And then you look out for the safety of the patient you are going to take care of and your team. So we have something we call doctor, then we do ABC. The doctor is danger. Is there anything that is dangerous to us or the patient that is lying down? Sometimes, mostly, if it is a road traffic accident, where the person may be lying at that particular time, if you don't take care and you enter in, whilst you are intervening, a car can come and just knock all of you down, and then it's another problem. So we look out for all these things to see if the place is safe. If it's a chemical spillage, you make sure if the place is not safe, we call in the appropriate authorities to come in and they make the place safe for us. Either we move the patient. That's why we have, we work with the fire service and then work with the Ghana Police Service. Sometimes when it's traffic related, the police service comes in to do the traffic direction. And then if it is extrication of a patient or removing the patient from a vehicle, the person is stuck on other things, the fire service comes in to help us do that. And not more as well, if let's say there's this water, flood disaster and everything, we don't enter in. They help bring the patient out and we take care of the person. So danger, and then you call for response. Let's say if we are not, you are not an EMT, but now we are EMTs. If I enter a place and my colleagues are not there, I have to call them that I'm here. This is what I'm saying. Maybe it's a big situation. But when we get there and we are together and it's just a case and we are entering, after we've made sure, we call the patient to know whether the person is responsive. If the person is responsive, then part of our work is done. If the person is not responsive, then it means we have to quickly go and manage the airway and make sure the person's airway is open, the person is breathing. So mostly what we say is that if something that can end somebody's life instantly or within some few minutes is about the airway and then blood, bleeding. The person bleeds within some few seconds profusely, the person might lose their life. The person does not get oxygen into the lungs and then breathe out carbon dioxide, that exchange is not there. We won't even look at more than 10 minutes. We'll lose the person's brain function. So the A, B, C, the airway and the breathing is very important. And the C is the circulation, that's about blood. The person is bleeding. Is the person bleeding? And we check if the person's pulse is okay, because there should be a range within which the pulse should be. So these are the basic things that we look at. But when we get to a situation where we are suspecting it's a cardiac arrest, that's a sudden collapse, instead of it being Dr. ABC, we do it Dr. CAB. So you check you look out for danger, you call for response, then immediately you start working out to do your chest compression. That's why you check to see the person has a pulse, the person is breathing. If not, we start chest compression, then we go on.
Right. So it's basically the ABCs, the airway, the breathing and then circulation. And when it has to do with cardiac arrest, it's just flipped over. Okay.
So see that this time the cardiac arrest, the C is chest compression, airway,
and then right. Wow. So what steps do you, now I think I've already asked that one. Now, how do you coordinate with hospitals in these situations? Is there so right now we are in the Korle-Klottey constituency or electoral area. So if there's a hospital here, do you have the number of the hospital offhand or in a directorate or a directory that you call to be able to liaise with them for a patient?
Yeah, so my question, I do a little bit of education and then I answer the question. So when you call the ambulance, even if there's a station here, that's not the station that will respond.
Okay.
So you call to our dispatch center. So let me bring out our number again and continue, the 112.
Yeah.
So when you call the 112 and the call goes through and you request for the ambulance service, the call goes to our dispatch center. If you're in Greater Accra, we have our dispatch center. Every region has their dispatch center, but it all goes through the 112. Or there are other local lines that the regions have specifically for their region. For our region, we have. I've given it out, so later on, request for it. So when the call goes through to the dispatch will ask questions. Where are you? What is wrong with the patient? What happened? How old is the patient? So how is the situation now? So from the questions we ask, we get to know what situation we have now. And where you are will tell us which ambulance to dispatch. So if you are here, let's say you said Korle-Klottey. So we have an ambulance in every district. So there's one that should serve the community that you are in. Let's say we are saying it's Korle-Klottey. So dispatch will call them that there's a case here. And then they will be able to talk to them and take contacts and everything. Because we were the first point of call, we will have to call the receiving facility, the hospital. But until we do that, the EMTs must get to the scene, assess the scene, and know the situation first before they do call.
So it means that the people who will be on the scene attending to the patient will be different from those doing the liaison?
Yes. So when they get there, they will rather call the dispatch. So every movement we make, we perform dispatch. We are moving. Then normally we tell them we are mobile to scene. Now we are at scene. Then we tell them arrive at scene. After assessment, we give them the information. Then if it is domestic or it is something outside the hospital, and we are now making the call as to where to go, then they will now call the hospitals to do the arrangement for us to send the patient.
Right.
But there are times when we find it difficult to get a facility. The no-bed syndrome. We roam. Sometimes I remember there was a case we picked from Kaswa. We went around the whole of Accra from 5 a.m. 10 a.m. we were still with the patient. We didn't get any facility. We had to go back to Kaswa. We were asked to go to Cape Coast.
Oh.
So at that time, imagine if someone wants an ambulance from, and the person is there. It means we can't.
Oh, that's sad. So, what are some of the equipment and medications you use in the basic stabilization process?
So,
give us para.
Basically, we give oxygen.
Okay.
Oxygen is people don't see the need for oxygen until you are close to needing oxygen or you work with oxygen. Yes, because we breathe air, it helps us do everything, a lot of things. And when the person is at that point of losing their life, oxygen saves lives. So oxygen is one of the major medications we give. And we can also give, in terms of anaphylaxis, we also give epinephrine. Okay. But that one is a medical direction. You have to call. Yes. And then we can also, like you said, para, the pain meds.
Oh, you actually administer para? I thought that was a joke.
We can give, but all these things should be from medical direction. Yes, especially if the person is in severe pain, then we need to give.
Okay.
But we don't just enter and then we start giving. When it comes to giving medications outside, like the epinephrine I told you about and then the paracetamol, you have to call for medical direction. But the oxygen is a major thing that we give. And we, with the basic, and we do the stabilization of the patient, we do the bleeding control, because I mentioned that losing blood can, when someone loses a lot of blood, the person can lose, yes. So bleeding control is one of the major things that we do. Make sure we stop the bleeding, we dress it, and then splint the patient wherever the bleeding is coming from.
Okay. Is a splinting the one where you bandage, or that's where maybe if it's broken, you put some sort of wood?
Yes, so the splinting, the bandaging is like complete your dressing.
Okay.
After you have controlled bleeding, then you bandage it to make the dressing okay, and then make it stable in place. But the splinting is where you want to keep the bone or the in the original position. Don't making it shift or move, because the more they shift, they can cut some of the some vessels or tissues. So you have to make them straight or in place. So we have different devices for splinting. Maybe with time we'll come and we'll bring. We have a lot of splinting devices. We do have the. It depends on the condition of the patient.
Yeah.
So we have one that we are able to, we call it traction, especially for the leg, to be able to traction or straighten the leg. In fact, when you are doing it, it's just nice. And then we have the vacuum splint. It's like a mattress, mini mattress. That's how I can. So we put it on and then we inflate it to make it strong to cover. That's when we realize the bone might be fragmented in different parts that we wouldn't know what to do. So we put it
to
around.
Keep it together.
And there are these long splints. They are like wood, but it's not wood. We padded them. They've been padded already. But if you don't have it and you are preparing something, like you can use cardboard, straighten them, and then you just put some gauze around it to make it soft, and then you use it to splint.
Right.
So we do have a lot of splinting devices.
Right. Okay. We have a few questions here. So this is my reminder for you all to send your questions via our WhatsApp number displayed onto your screen, or to our YouTube and Facebook live stream. You can just send your comments there and I will get them read. And when the phone lines are opened, I will also alert you so that you can call. So please desist from calling this WhatsApp number. It is solely for the WhatsApp messages. Now, this one says, good morning, Koko Digest. Kudos to Ghana Ambulance Service. My question is, how do you handle emergency calls during peak traffic hours? This is from Beaches Kwache in Sunyane.
One of the challenges, if you had asked me, I would have mentioned them as one of our challenges.
Traffic.
Because, first of all, we don't have ambulance lanes. There are some countries that do have. I think they tried giving us some lanes on the...
I think I've seen the bus lane.
Yes, but sometimes by the time you realize the cars are just parked in like that, so it's not easy. So there should have also been a way of diverting us from traffic, but we don't have that system here too. So we have to come and then use the siren and ask us to give us way. Sometimes our officers get down and then they try to ask drivers. Some are helpful, some are so difficult. They just want to go through the traffic before you come. So it's not an easy thing we are facing here at all. It's a challenge.
So with that, is there anything else you do aside trying to get the people out?
If there's any other access route that we can take to avoid the traffic, because our drivers, most of them have driven where they work for some time, so they may know some roads that can lead them off the traffic.
Right. Okay, so the next question is saying, hello, Koko Digest, good morning, great conversations. Kudos to AEMT Fatih. My question is, do you have facilities for transporting patients with specific needs like incubators? Because, no further comments. This is from Boama in Kumasi.
So, ambulance service does not have a facility like that. But we do have NICUs. We call them NICU. Neonatal intensive care unit, like the ICU for adults. This one is neonatal, yes. So that's where they have the incubators and other things. Mostly, the reason why I want to read behind there is because we don't have enough of them. So when there's a case, we have to wait for them to call for the facility to say we have space, bring the baby, before we send the baby. As for the babies, we can't pick them and run around. We have to make sure we are moving them straight to. So sometimes we move from Accra to Gomwa.
Wow. So in an ideal situation, is the ambulance service supposed to have something like that for the interim?
I haven't seen it as a policy that we should have something like that.
But what about maybe in other countries?
Other countries, we know every country has its own health system, yes. But the ambulance service in Ghana here, even having we don't have a center to say this is our emergency center where we can even pick a patient and send to, let alone a NICU. You understand? Like that's, and we need to have that with professionals in the service for that. We haven't gotten that yet. So mostly we work with the health facility.
Okay.
So Ghana Health Service, and then they're teaching other hospitals, the private hospitals. Some of them are big enough to have them. But this also can be an initiative that we would have. That one day in ambulance service in Ghana, we have a facility like that.
All right. Yes. So my last question before we go for a quick break. In a situation where, I know ideally when you are met with a situation that you need to hand the patient over to the hospital, you go for the local hospitals, the government hospitals. In a situation where there's this whole no-bed syndrome and you need to save their life, you take them to the private hospitals. Have you ever been faced with situations where private hospital and their bills, then the patient, after receiving medical care, getting better, is angry with you that you've brought them here and they've racked up this much debt?
Not really.
Okay.
Because before we send you to the private hospital, maybe we've identified a relative.
Okay.
And the relative says, send my dear one to this private facility. I will take care of the person.
Okay.
So mostly we work with the the public facilities, yes. And that one too would have been a very nice if we had that. But when we send a patient to even the public facilities, we are asked to go and do what they call
food. Yes.
So we have to go and do it, especially when the person is an unknown patient. Unknown is we don't know anything about the patient, and especially involved in an accident. But if it is a domestic case like home or anywhere, and we came in or we picked you and someone knows you and the person says, oh, this is my relative, I'll go with you. That one, public or private, you will go wherever you want based on what you can, whether you have the money to.
All right. Okay. It's time for a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the EMT week celebration a little and then continue with our questions for the AEMT here. And please do send your comments and your questions to our WhatsApp number displayed onto your screen and onto our Facebook and YouTube live stream as well. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. And if you're just tuning in, we're having our main discussion with AEMT Fatilali. And we're talking about the EMTs, yes, the emergency medical technicians and paramedics and what the job is like. But for now, as I said earlier before the break, I said that we will be talking about the week celebration for them. So, Madam, please say, okay, no, wait. I think we should do the questions, then you take us through the... Yes. Okay. So I think we have two more questions for you. This one says, hello, Yaira, good morning. Please, as concerned citizens or as a concerned citizen, I want to know what is the average response time for emergency calls in Accra, even in our villages? Then a second question from this same person, which is Emma Kwanzaa. She says, how do I contact your service in case of a medical emergency? I think you mentioned earlier that the hotline is 112. So please, what's the average response time for emergency calls in Accra and villages?
So for us in Accra here, we are doing 15 minutes. That's the worst time.
Yes. That's the longest.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what, because and when you look at Accra and then you look at the timing in which the call came, you realize there are times when traffic is less. So moving or getting to a place it's easier. We don't get to be in much traffic to want to push them for them to give us away. There are times too that the traffic is so strong that we have to either pass through them, like I said, or use other means to get there. So maximum of 15 is what I'm talking about. But there are times when the call might come, we are in Clote here, and then we might want to go to Amamfrum, closer to Kaswa, to go and pick a patient there. So
don't they have...
There's an ambulance close by. If that one has already been dispatched, and we are free, that's how we operate. You can go where there's a need in case the closest ambulance has been dispatched. So that one too can affect our response time.
Right.
So let's say worldwide it is expected to be between 5 to 8 minutes. But sometimes we are able to do based on proximity. Sometimes in less than 3 minutes we are there. I remember there was a case in the night at my station. They ran in from home and we picked our things and we ran back with them. So imagine, in less than 5 minutes we were in the house and then we took care of the patient there.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So this one says, good morning. Well done, my AEMT Fati. Koko Digest, please let the public know we never move the ambulance without emergencies. So whenever they hear the siren, they should just pave way. It could be a family member of theirs. This is by SEMT Godwin. Thank you so much. So from the National Ambulance Service here, whenever you hear an ambulance, when you're on the road, please make way. Lives are at stake. It could be your loved one. It could be you one day. So have some empathy and move and make some way for the ambulance to go. And of course, break the record. Their longest time has been 15 minutes. Now we want to make it between less than 5 minutes if we can. So please take note of this. Yes. Okay. So now let's go to the paramedics and Emergency Medical Technicians Week celebration. So what should we expect? What is going to be happening? I mean, I've read the outline and all, but if you can give us details.
Okay, before I go to this, I want to give Officer Godwin thumbs up for that, for pushing us, because it's very frustrating. There was a time I was in the ambulance and I stood behind and said, told the driver, use that sound. Tell them we are in need.
Oh.
You have to shout. You have to do something for space so that you move the patient in distress. So the EMT or Emergency Medical Technician and Paramedic has started. Because whilst I'm here, we are putting things in order to start with our press briefing and then media engagement. So basically, the brief idea or history behind is that worldwide, on the 8th of July, paramedics and EMTs are celebrated. Okay. And then Ghana, or let's say in Ghana here, we are supposed to also celebrate the day. But in Greater Accra, we have decided to make it a week celebration. We want to do it this way to make sure that we are able to do it extensively. We are able to bring on board our stakeholders. We are able to let the community or the Greater Accra region know that National Ambulance Service is here and we are here for us. Here. That's why we are doing it for a week, because we will engage different stakeholders and then even the communities that we are serving in. So the day one has already started. They are still working on the official launch and the media engagement at HQ. So it's already.
So where's the HQ located?
We are around lotteries, close. We share walls with National Lotteries. Okay, so Accra, I think we are in Accra. So when you walk straight from here to get into Tema Station. Okay. So that Tema Station area, lotteries is there. Then
okay, so you're not too far from us. Okay.
No. So let's say National Hockey Pitch, the hockey pitch. Yes, we are around that area. Okay. Yeah. So that's where we are having the lunch. Then day 2 is on Wednesday. We'll be having health screening and community outreach. We want to reach out to communities around us. So our stations have been grouped in zones. So the zones, wherever they are, will meet with their community, have health screenings there with them, and then have talk This one is just talk, not training, because we have time for training too. So that's the community outreach we want to do there. And then we have the Thursday for BLS for the public and youth engagement. So this is the training aspect where we would bring our things in, bring our babies, the dummies, and then we demonstrate to the people, the communities. Let's say if you are doing it in Ungwa, people in Ungwa, whoever you are, you have access to it. We are not mentioning groups of people that are supposed to come. So it's a whole community be engaged in that. And then the youth as well will be encouraged to join in this community training. And then on Friday, 4th July, there's the interstation quiz. I would rather say it's zonal, because our stations are many. So when we pick them one, we have grouped them in zones. So each zone is bringing their strong contestants. Yes, it's not easy. I've heard a lot of background work is going on. So they are preparing. This one is not to show who knows what, but to let people know what we do and then to share knowledge. So we are coming in. This one is also going to be a form of peer review for each and every one of us. As we answer questions, as we win, we learn from it as well. And then we on our social media platforms, we will be showing it live so that people will watch. It's just like people would like watching National Science and Maths. This time, come and watch
National
quiz, And then after the quiz, we will add the fanfare to it. So win or lose, we will all be there to be part of the fanfare. And that one will take place as our regional secretariat. We chose the two, but for now, our regional secretariat we are at Kotobabi. Yes, and as I said, whilst we are doing it, they will do a Facebook Live, we'll do other media handles so that people will be able to have access. There will be a media coverage, but it wouldn't be much like live. We'll just cover a bit to come and show a news on it. And then on Saturday, in fact, I want to invite you on Saturday.
For the health walk?
Yes. Hera, come. Bring your team. It's
so
going to be
TV,
amazing.
You have health walk coming up on Saturday.
On Saturday,
everybody should get their kambu
ready.
We'll
start at Kwame Nkrumah Circle. In fact, this walk, have you gone for a walk? It's not normal jama. You know, we dress with the boots and other things, Jacob, you see that Mura. That is what we are going to do. So Mura walk, that's what we are going to do. So it's not going to, even though you are doing it as an endurance walk for your health and everything, you are also going to enjoy it.
So if I collapse,
we will be there. You see, so this kind of walk, you don't have to fear. Because while we are walking, we'll be looking at you to know whether you are fit or not.
I'm not fit. I have brushed myself.
Then on Sunday, the same BLS engagement we did for the people outside. I think one of the engagements was for schools. So we'll do it for the Thursday.
Church. So I want to ask, the schools, have you gotten the specific schools so that people, or it's not open to the public?
It's not open. It's only school-based.
Okay, then let's do the churches, because the churches will be more
people
open.
Who are with. So we have a Presbyterian church around Anya that we will have with them. And then there's another interdenominational church, which name I can't mention. That one we are doing it internal with them. But what I would say is that we will have the outline of this particular Sunday walk. We'll just finalize everything and then put it on our social media handles. And then let people who are interested come in, because it is for the church and we are not able to bring it out. We just want the community to know that they should just join the community. When it's for your church and it's close to you, but I know of Anya Presby that will be doing it. We are still, it's not easy to get people or a church to say come. We are still working on some few ones. So we want to finalize on it before we bring it out. So that we say your church is doing and you go and your church is not doing. So we didn't give you the right
misinformation. Okay. Right. So the targeted churches, we are not very certain on that. What about the online presentations?
Yes. So National Ambulance Service, we are starting from Greater Accra. We want to whet the appetite of researchers and even officers who are into research to research certain topical areas that we think when it's done will bring the recommendations will come in to help the service. So we have opened up for people to select the topic, write abstracts and present these abstracts.
Okay.
So it will be done on Teams, Microsoft Teams, on that day. That is on Monday.
Yeah.
So we will do that we will open it up to us and then the public. Whoever wants to join will come in and then just be part of it, observe. If there's a researcher, someone who is interested in studying on the National Ambulance Service, person can pick a topic and then begin to work on it.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So
then the last one is the Grand Derby.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
so that's basically party.
one.
Or
Yeah. You see Grand Derby, party follows. So that's after hard work, after going out to engage people, after going for your quizzes, after for work and then everything, we come back and have the Grand Derby. So it's like a closing ceremony. We had the opening, let's say the media and the press briefing. Now we are doing the last one. And we are expecting to do that at AME Hall.
Okay.
Yes. So that will end or climax our celebration for the year. Yes, and there too, we would want to there and then get some feedback from us and the public to know what we should do better.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. For the sake of viewers who will say that ambulance service for Mukojimweni, is there going to be like a skeletal staff on standby for emergencies, even as the celebrations are ongoing?
So, National Ambulance Service, we work in shifts.
Okay.
So whilst I'm here, someone is there working. Sometimes I'll be there, someone is off.
Okay.
So that's how we run. So at that time, those who are on duty or at that time at work will not be part. So it will fall on somebody's off day will fall on a day.
Okay, that's why it's a week.
So that is how it is. So you get to participate in one or the other. We will not move the ambulance or take it out of the way of the people because it's also needed. So ambulances will be available to carry casualties to take. We will be there. Even whilst we are having the program, if you need that, you can pause and go and take off the people and come back.
Wow,
that's by the way.
That is very commendable dedication.
Yeah.
Our time is almost up, but I still have a lot more questions, and I think we'll just need to do a part 2. But then let's see if we can touch on the community and the community health. So how does your work contribute to preventive health or public education in the community? I mean, even from the program lineup, we can see that there's going to be some education, but how does your work contribute to that on the grand scale?
So this is what we just went through is what we are going to do now. But we've been doing this. We've been there for a while doing public education, and every station, that's what I call it, station municipality, is always tasked to train people in his or its community or environment. So we don't wait till it's time for us to do celebration before we go out. It's something that we do almost, let's say, every month something is happening somewhere, a particular group and a particular community.
Okay.
So the community is already, and how do I say it, benefiting from us. We go in, we educate them on first aid and then basic life support. And then, if possible, we advise them on certain health issues that they should take serious.
Right.
Yes, you know, with our work too, we do check on vital signs and other things. We stabilize the patient and place in the ambulance. We have equipment, the monitors to check vitals and other things. So we do study some things around the vital signs too. Right. So when we get the opportunity, we educate people on that too.
Okay. So in a situation where maybe aside, so when you're going to do the education, do you only teach about the CPR, the basics that you did here, or you expand on it? Because I think I've seen a few educational videos on how to even move somebody, how to turn them and things like that. Do you also do all of that?
We do.
Okay.
But we can't do all at the same time. So like I just told you, we'll be coming here. So whenever we come, if we have something different, we do it. There are a whole lot of things that people can learn from us and then be able to use it to preserve somebody who is in dangerous life before we get there.
Right.
So we do a whole lot of things. The reason why we hammer in on the bleeding control and the CPR is because it is something that so it's not every time that we teach a particular topic, like only chest compressions, only choking. So we pick the topic at a particular. So if we've been here before, the tendency of we coming to do another thing is high. Unless you request that you still want this.
Right.
We would rather ask you that let's do this because we've already done this.
Right.
But it's good to mostly also refresh your mind or your memory on this thing. Cardiac arrest and then bleeding control, like I said, can let someone lose their life faster than any other.
Right. And I think we'll just have to discuss with my producers and try a small series every now and then. Yes, maybe monthly.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm sure they would agree.
Yes. It would have been very great.
Yes.
We do a whole lot of things. Yeah.
So are there outreach programs or health education programs that you are involved in at the moment?
Yes. Now we are with DVLA.
Okay.
DVLA is doing its national outreach and sensitizing drivers on the how do I say? So we join them every week at different car parks or lorry stations to do the education. So they invite us, the police, the fire service, and then the road safety.
Okay.
We give our talk, then we also do training on basic life support for them. So that is the DVLA aspect. But for us, we also do have, there are some radios, TV stations that we have, like you said, a monthly time with them to do it on air. And then we have a plan that moves us from one institution to the other.
Okay.
So yes, we do have to.
Wow, then the ambulance service is very busy, and yet they have time to attend to us. So when you see them on the road, please make way. So we have very limited time, but my last question would be that what patterns or public health concerns have you noticed over the years?
I said because I always say most of our cases. So I work on cases. You know, our work is mainly on data because we do. Well, we have a form called the pre-hospital care form. We pick every patient has a pre-hospital care form. So we write everything we know about your condition, what we've seen per your vitals, what brought you, how we send you, and where we even picked you from and took you to. Everything is on the form. So every case one. So every month we look at this in summary. You could see that most of the cases are related to hypertension.
Hypertension.
That's why I say because wherever I get the platform, I really want to encourage people to go and check their blood pressure. Start from the blood pressure because that one will alert you to know. When you check your blood pressure and you check your glucose level, blood glucose, at least you've opened yourself up to further investigation. If you're okay, then fine. If not, then it means that you have to start being taken. It doesn't mean you are sick or how do I say? It doesn't mean you have. Sometimes certain things can just let some of these things change. But you go and check maybe once a month or even if it is 3 months, if you think you don't have anything related to it. But if you realize you are not breathing well, you are that, I think checking your blood pressure and then your sugar level will do you a lot of good. Because if you don't work on the hypertension, it can escalate to, then you be now a CVA patient, cardiovascular accident or stroke as we call it, because that is what hypertension can lead into in the future. I shouldn't wait to get there. Yeah.
So you heard it from our AEMT Fatih Lali, and it's been a very, very educative conversation here, just that the time was not on our side. There was so much more to talk about. So we'll have her back another day and probably learn another thing. You know, last time we saved a baby and his father. Next time we'll probably save somebody else, you know, control some bleeding and all. But before we wrap up, I'd like to request your closing remarks to the public. What would you like us to know and keep in mind, aside, you know, making way for the ambulances?
That one is on the record already. All right, so my closing remarks. Let me start by thanking my boss for giving me his seat. This is his seat. Dr. Daniel Asare, good morning once again. I'm here to meet you. And then my regards to our CEO and overall medical director, Professor Ahmed Zakaria. Greeting my boss was Mr. Keura Simmons. He is the PRO of National Ambulance Service. So good morning to them all, and then thank them for this opportunity I'm giving to always speak on behalf of us. So ambulance, have I mentioned here that we don't pick dead bodies?
Yes, I think Dr. Asare has mentioned that in one of our interactions with him.
So in most of our ending or closing remarks, we do want to stress on it. People should start saying HES instead of ambulance.
Okay, so they should call the funeral homes and things like that.
Yes, HES. This is, but not ambulance. Immediately, the person died and went to call the ambulance. No, it's not an ambulance. Ambulance is different from the HES. The ambulance is a vehicle with medical equipment to carry people who are alive but are in distress. We manage them and then we send them to the hospital. The ambulance is not a HES. The HES is not an ambulance. And then also the give way, and then the prank calls. Please stop the prank calls. They are really distracting us. Wherever you are, if you think you want to make a call to see if your line is going through, dial another number, not our number. And our main emergency number is 112. So if you need an ambulance wherever you are, whether you have credit or not, the emergency number is 112. It will go through and you will get help. And when you call and it reaches us, we will help you in that process before we even get there to take care of.
All right. Thank you so much. A big thank you to you all, my viewers. Thank you for sending in your questions and your comments. And a big thank you to everybody that joined hands to make this show a success. Tomorrow we'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary, so we will be on your screens again. So please do well to tune in, call a friend, text a friend, and share your experiences you've had with us over the year, and we'll read them here. We would also love to thank the production team and our managers. We will see you all tomorrow bright and early. Do have an amazing day ahead.